Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or consumercellular.com today. Real people pay to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
The Morning Xtra, only on Xtra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. Tug and Los.
Oh, no. Oh, we've started off on a Monday.
Tried to...
really rough. All right, get out the defibrillator.
There you go.
Things are not going well to start. I'm not sure he's going to make it until the 7 o'clock hour.
No, I'm good now. I just had to take me a sip of Zero FG.
And sometimes he will just do a whole lot of things for money, and that's really sad.
That's right. He sells out. God, I want to sell out.
You're like straight out of Wayne's World. I'm joking. So that's why I need a Zero FG.
That's exactly right? And what was it, though? But Garth was having none of that. You know, when they remember,
he was very sad. Dana Carvey was very sad about what people do for money.
That's right.
As I opened mine up.
That's right. Taste.
I did feel weird about this. Like, I did sub in a couple times last week.
Holy cow, man! You did a bunch.
It was. I was like totally brain dead by the time we got to Friday evening.
I know.
But I felt weird because I'm so used to being in the habit of grabbing an energy drink on the way home or into the office.
Sure.
And I'm sitting there with this like giant something other than a Zero FG.
And what was it?
It's not important. It just wasn't the same brand.
Oh, got it.
And so as I'm trying to like put it over on the desk, I'm wondering, are the cameras going to pick this up?
No.
I can't have that.
That'd be terrible. What?
So I have to like hide it underneath, underneath the desk. It felt really weird about this whole thing.
You're better than I, because I wouldn't have paid I wouldn't even have thought of it. You know, it wouldn't even cross my mind.
It's product placement, man.
I know it is, and you did the right thing. I'm just saying, I don't know that I'm dialed in enough to think of that. Shame on me.
Well, let's just say if Linda Ronstadt had hated you,
buddy,
and you had like one of her CDs like on the desk.
Yeah. If
she hated you.
Right.
If she thought that Tug Inc. was like the worst thing in the world and she was affiliated with Al Qaeda, well, then maybe you wouldn't want to put her, best of collection on the desk next to you.
No Blue Bayou, none of that stuff.
No.
Yeah, no, you're right. All that's correct. That's what I said. I know what you're saying.
That's how it works, Joe.
I know what you're saying is right. I hope I would be more dialed in.
I hope I was paying a little more attention.
Yeah, if she was, Al Qaeda, and I would not want her.
If she was Al Qaeda.
To sing "When Will I Be Loved," I'd be like, "Ma'am, just put that away." But we don't want any part of your old Al Qaeda music. You and your sitars and things. Yesterday, it's funny you talking about
dumbest morning show ever.
Without question. At least it starts that way every day. It does increase in intelligence, I feel like, as we throughout the morning
until 9 o'clock. Yeah, absolutely.
And then it 6 o'clock is always, you can't ever tell. But there's no Al Qaeda at the Daytona 500.
No, there is not.
And I'm telling you, unlike any other event that Donald Trump has gone to or been part of, they didn't need one security officer at Daytona. They didn't. They had a bunch. They just didn't need them because that's Donald Trump's people. Those are when he did the flyover. And how many people go to Daytona? 140,000. It's a huge number.
Yeah. Okay. So you have the capacity, plus you have the infield, plus you have the party outside.
Yeah. How many people?
I mean, it is the Super Bowl of NASCAR racing.
Into the Daytona 500.
I mean, there are people that go who don't ever sit or they're not on the infield.
Yeah.
It's just to go.
Yeah, it has 101,500 seats just in the seating. Again, like you said, that's not including the infield. And then,
not at all.
And then the tailgaters outside, they're just out there to raise mortal hell. They're out there like, this is Leonard Skinnard and Allman Brothers in the same day, and then put some race in there. I mean, those people are excited to be there. It's completely sold out. And the Air Force One flyover happens, and the place just erupts. And then they bring the beast down onto the track.
There was something funny about it. I was like, what a W that is going on right now.
But it's almost a little corny.
The presidential limousine on the track.
Not even a little bit. It's corny. The whole concept is we're taking the beast, the presidential limo, on the racetrack and taking a lap. A victory lap, if you will. It's a little bit corny, but it works. Every time it works.
It works every time.
Yeah.
Because you see something that you're typically not used to seeing.
You think Joe Biden's going to get out there?
And it's the president of the United States who is celebrating with the common people. By the way, the average attendance on a regular basis every single year is more than 150,000.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's the attendees, the infield, and everyone surrounding the event.
That's a lot of people, man. 150,000 people. And I've been one time to Daytona. And it was great. We had a freaking ball when I was a kid.
Bragging, Tug.
No, but I mean, I was young, and super young. And
so I get to go to everything.
No,
because I know everybody.
We didn't know, yeah. Mom and Daddy scraped up the money to go. We're down. We just happened to be down in Daytona, and they're like, we should try to go. And it wasn't even the five. So I should correct myself. It wasn't the Daytona 500. It then called the Firecracker 400. It was the 4th of July.
Yeah, the 400.
Race.
Yeah.
And so Daddy bought him a Winston Cup jacket.
Nice.
Man, I'm talking. I think my mama still has it, and he would never even wear it. He had it wrapped in plastic. You know what I mean? Like you get from like a dry cleaner when they put the plastic. He had that on his Daytona 500 jacket.
Just kept it in the closet,
or his Daytona Super Speedway. Yes, never wore it.
Pretty cool.
Mama was like, why would you spend all that money and not wear it?
Why not?
He was like, wow.
Stop asking me, woman.
Seriously, he's like, I don't want to get it dirty. It was so sweet and crazy at the exact same time. It's so funny.
But what an event.
I mean, it's incredible. And that racetrack is amazing.
I think I watched 3 laps.
Yeah.
I was so much more locked into everything else around it.
I know. That's the thing with the NASCAR. I always flip on the Daytona 500, and I will flip on the Atlanta race down at Hampton because I do. I enjoy racing. I don't love it like I did when I was a kid, which I watched all the time, and so did all my cousins and all my uncles, and everybody watched it. But I don't watch it near as much as I used to. It just, I don't know. I feel like the whole thing with making all the cars exactly the same makes it boring. Instead of going there and fix and create the most badass car you can, that's what I want to see.
So clearly, this is not how you revolted against your dad. I guess that was like the Navy, because I've been very honest about it. Wrestling was the way that I revolted against my dad.
Yeah, you said you didn't like wrestling because your daddy loved it.
Because he loved it. I was like, well, I'm going to show you, old man.
I hate the junkyard dog.
I was like, I have Superfly, Jimmy Snuka. I have no idea, and this is fake, Dad.
Yeah, and I hate that he wears no shoes and barefooted all the time.
But my dad was never into NASCAR, so I never had that deal of, well, okay, this is how I'm going to show that I disapprove of what my dad's trying to tell me as my coach.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love it. I thought it was awesome to see Trump there. I thought it was so funny, and to see social media, all the people that were bashing it. Again, it's like they swing and miss on everything, and it's hard. It seems hard for them to understand that the things they make fun of are the wrong things.
Well, when you're striking every chord, when it comes to everyday common Americans, and that's us, that's most people in the audience, even there's nothing common about you, but your mentality is cool and common. The fact that somebody says, you should be mad at the president for going to the Daytona 500, you're sitting back and saying, yeah, whatever, that's fine. The amount of people that tried to count up the amount of taxpayer dollars that went into the president going to the Super Bowl. Do you understand that it cost taxpayers $15 million for him to come to the Super Bowl? Yeah, and by the way, we spend so much more money, looking into cow farts every single year.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, try not to equate these two.
When we get those all in order, when we get Doge to break it all down, and we are not $37 trillion in debt because we're researching cow farts and donating that much money that it took to fly Air Force One to Daytona. We're doing like transgender surgeries on, monkeys or some sort of animal in Uganda or whatever that crazy thing was. When you get that in line, then you can talk. But until you do, shut up.
The amount of people that actually fired back when it came to experimental transgender surgeries and were like, that's not happening.
Yeah,
then you realize your country was spending like $12 million on it. And the president went to the Super Bowl or went to the Daytona 500. It's going to be all right.
It'll be just fine. It'll be just fine. They will continue to complain. They will continue to, I hesitate to say the B word, but they will.
Oh, they will.
Yeah, they'll continue.
And that's fine. Good.
Right, because if they're doing that, they're doing nothing constructive, and we're going to continue to win, and we're going to continue to dismantle the deep state and the swamp that they also said didn't exist.
I'm telling you, I spend time right now going over and watching Bill Maher every Friday evening on HBO. And
this week when he was talking about the waste that was going on, did you see the thing about the toilet in San Francisco?
No.
So they were going to build a toilet, one toilet, because of, there's poop all over the side of the roads and on the sidewalks. So they're going to build this one toilet, and it's going to cost $1.7 million and take them 3 years to do it. That was through the government in San Francisco. And Bill Maher's just shredding it. He's like, this is the things that I don't like about government.
This is why we're losing.
Yeah. And so he said the company, this one company's like, you know what, we'll do it. We'll pay for it. We'll do every bit of it. And you're thinking, yes, they just saved the city and the taxpayers $1.7 million. Nope. The government comes back to that company and says, this is San Francisco's government, comes back and says, well, it'll still cost $1.2 million because of all the red tape and regulation. And Bill Maher went through every step of it, like everything that cost this company was going to do it free, and they couldn't even do it because of all the regulation going to cost $1.2 million.
The reason why I'm enjoying watching some of this stuff, it's because you do have a civil war going on the Democrat side. That you do have, and for the most part, they are old heads. They are the older generation that has led the party in the way that it's gone, and now the newer generation has taken all the mentality of anger, all the mentality of frustration, counter-protest, everything else, and they ramped it up on steroids. And so you have the old heads that are like, hey, we were kind of just kidding around. We just wanted to secure our power.
Yeah.
And then you have like the Jasmine Crockett's of the world out of Texas that are like, what do you mean you were just kidding around? And it goes back to the same thing. There's a reason why whenever there's a communist uprising, it's the communists that kill the communists. Yeah. The more extreme communists kill the other communists because they're like, you're not communist enough. That's the battle that's going on right now in their party. And we get to sit back and watch all of it.
Right. And that's probably why some of Trump's polling numbers still are incredible. And the libs at ABC, they still don't get it. Listen to this.
Oh, well, hold on. By the way, no, keep that going.
Yeah.
That was Donald Trump at the Daytona 500.
That's right.
And when, during the Star Spangled Banner, the camera ends up, moving over him. Camera on and everybody goes nuts.
That's right. That's what happens when you put a popular president at a major event. And those people are the reason those polling numbers are so good.
Donald Trump's favorability rating is actually higher than it ever was the first time around. Let me ask you, a recent poll by Marquette looked at several of the things that he has done or says that he is going to do, and 63% favor federal government's recognition of only two sexes, 60% favor deporting immigrants who entered the United States illegally, 60% favor expanding oil and gas production, 59% favor declaring an emergency at the southern border. Is there anything you are seeing that Trump is doing that you are in favor of, that you think is the right thing?
Let me say, as it relates to all of those issues, we're just at the beginning.
I mean, the question is, everybody's in favor of this. So the majority of Americans are in favor of all the things that they listed. And you have Hakeem Jeffries, who are like, we're just at the beginning of this. What does that even mean? Like, you are making sense with your answer.
Give him another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Apparently, he'll stay in a position where he continues to put higher and higher favorability ratings.
Dude, he's putting up numbers like freaking lottery winners.
Well, this is the idea of populism. If you're appealing to the people and stuff that is commonplace, whether I don't care if you're sitting amongst the masses where you're over the Daytona 500. I don't care if you're sitting in a scenario where you're in a coffee shop or you're sitting in an elementary school. When you're talking about populism, a majority, in this case, 65% of Americans sit back and say, no, this is exactly what I want. And in some of these cases, we joke around about it, the 80-20 issues. 80% of people are saying, yes, I think this is the right direction we're going.
Yeah. The government only recognizing two sexes, deporting illegals, and favor expanding oil and gas production because people don't want EV. Are they okay with hybrids? Yeah. But they don't want to be told what they need to drive. They want to drive whatever they want to drive. It's as American as apple pie. And Hakeem Jeffries has no response, no coherent response. That's the disarray. You talk about the Civil War. That's the disarray they're in. He couldn't even respond to it.
There's nothing to say.
Well, right.
Again, do you want to fall into the Donald Trump trap? And right now, the Donald Trump trap is I'm speaking to 65, 70, 80% of Americans, and they all agree with me. And because I've been so vilified, I've been so demonized that the other side, no matter what, will say the exact opposite. So what happens when it's an 80-20 issue? All right, you're arguing on this percent of 80, on the percent of 20. When you're talking about some of these where it's as high as, 65, 70%, well, now you're talking to a minority of Americans. And often a lot of them, they have the same mindset. Right. They just don't know that much about the subject matter. All they know is, I have to go against Donald Trump.
Yeah, whatever he says, we're going to. And that's, last week we told you about the Democrats, the Governors Association. They had a Zoom call, and that was their answer. That was their response to Trump was, just reject everything he says. No matter what, just reject everything he says. That's the playbook throughout the Democrat Party. You see it with Hakeem Jeffries. You see it with the governors' associations. You see it everywhere. That's just it. That's all they got.
The resistance. This is not 2016.
There is no resistance.
That's a dead mentality.
It is. It totally is. Holy cow. And there's this lady named Linda Lee, former Democrat fundraiser. I mean, she's raised $1 bazillion. And she said she has no idea how the party will recover from its shambles that it's in, and donors are so pissed by the crazy direction. She said the party's been hijacked by leftists who worship at the altar of woke and DEI. She says, quote, that is their God. Now you can see why the Democrats are losing and will continue to lose. Next on the Morning Extra, Trump's polling. Let's talk about it a little more. It climbs like a SpaceX rocket. Next on the Morning Extra. Hey, it's Tug. The Morning Extra has you covered from 6 to 10, and Kimmer's got you on the ride home.
Apparently, it's true. The facts are, 1, China sends fentanyl to Mexico. Fact number 2, there are thousands of Chinese nationals working in factories in Mexico, turning the fentanyl into pills. Fact number 3, the pills are then smuggled into America to poison us. How is it possible that the Federal Bureau of Investigation is not all along the border, and how come our U.S. military is not bombing all those factories? If I were president of the United States, they'd be blown up. It'd be like that freaking Harrison Ford movie where you get the undercover boys and you go wipe them off the freaking face of the earth and then suffer the consequence. Patriot game.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Being in an accident really bites. You need people around you that are going to make the whole process easier to deal with. I just described David Van Sant at Van Sant Law. He used to work for the insurance companies. What an advantage. He knows who to call, what to say, and they're not going to pull the wool over his eyes. Give him a call. Van Sant Law, 855-GA-INJURY, vansantlaw.com, 855-GA-INJURY.
Have you considered securing your family's future, protecting your hard-earned assets, navigating complex legal matters with ease? Nelson Elder Care Law is here to guide and empower you and your loved ones. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust and expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid crisis solutions, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, Nelson Elder Care Law protects what matters most to you. Imagine a team dedicated to safeguarding your legacy every step of the way. Our flat fees ensure transparency, and our customized plans prioritize your family's specific needs. Are you worried about protecting your family and your legacy after you're gone? Let us help you ensure you're absolutely protected from whatever curveballs life may throw your way. Schedule a complimentary legacy planning meeting with our legal team in Marietta or Woodstock today. Contact us at 678-250-9355 or visit at nelsoneldercarelaw.com.
Taxes was taxing. Now taxes is relaxing when you file for free.
I can file for free? TurboTax Free Edition. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. I can file for free.
Now this is taxes. File for free with TurboTax Free Edition and get your maximum refund. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, and student loan interest. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
With your headlines for Monday, February 17th, I'm Carlos Medina. The DeKalb County Police Department is investigating an overnight shooting where 5 people were shot and 1 died. Police say at 2:05 on Sunday, they responded to multiple locations after learning of a shooting that occurred on the 5300 block of Panola Industrial Boulevard. When they arrived, they learned 5 total victims had been shot at that location. One of the victims, a 20-year-old man, was shot in the neck and died. From the weather front, severe storms have left a destructive path across Atlanta and Georgia, leaving many residents without power. Officials said that they restored more than 170,000 customers with power. The fast results were made by the crews using a smart grid technology to allow remote restoration. And a Georgia death row inmate who fatally shot a man while fleeing from a bank robbery in Gwinnett County cannot be executed by firing squad. Instead of lethal injection, a federal judge in Atlanta has ruled. Michael Dance has had a legal battle since 2020, claiming that because of medication, a lethal injection would be unlawfully cruel. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
For the first time, I want to point this out before I get to this. This is a bit of a heavy topic, but I think it deserves to be discussed and explored, and I'd love to get your feedback at 404-741-1230. For the first time in about 20 years, Rasmussen is polling that Americans believe the country is on the right track. When I read this, I took a step backwards. We've talked about this for a long time, how America just is on the wrong track, and it's so clear to everybody. And it's taken Donald Trump less than a month to change the polling from over 20 years that said the same thing over and over and over again, Los, that America's on the wrong track. And now, all of a sudden, the right track exceeds the wrong track as of last night.
It's a mentality because the economic conditions have not really altered in the past 40, 50, 60 days. Since the election, first week in November, it's not like we've had an uptick. In fact, to start the week, we had inflation jumping back to 3%.
That's right, yep.
But there's a mentality difference within the country. We talk about it when we're talking about like wars around the world about hearts and minds. What do the hearts and minds of the people think? The hearts and minds of the American people are hopeful and have a belief that we're doing the right things.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's enough. That's enough to affect polling.
Well, I think anytime that you have enthusiasm, that people are like, yeah, I believe what's happening. I trust what is happening. Then, yes, you absolutely have a pattern of people saying, for once, I believe that the person that's at the top truly wants to do something different than what we've seen for the last 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And all of a sudden, I think that he can correct the ills that we've dealt with for so long. So I just wanted to point that out because I think it's good news that Americans believe finally that the country is trending in the right direction. I think it's fantastic. And,
we've been rudderless. We haven't had a leader for 4 years.
That's exactly right. But it's more than that, though. You're 100% right when you say we've been rudderless. We've not had a leader in 4 years. But that's been happening. This feeling of despair that nothing's going to change no matter who is elected. I think that's the big takeaway, is that people finally see somebody is going to go in there and tear it all down. Like we've been saying it needed to be done forever. Tear it down to the studs and rebuild it the way it needed to be done. And somebody's actually doing it.
There's just accountability.
That's right, yeah.
For 4 years, we didn't know who was running the country, and by the end, it was Jill Biden and Beau Biden. Okay, like you want to talk about like how things went ahead and fell apart. That's how they fell apart. Now without a doubt, it's Donald Trump. And then when you talk about the swamp, the entire apparatus around him, they're going to war on it. And the American people like it.
Yes, they do. Because this is the first time they feel like things are done in their best interest, not the best interest of the swamp, not the best interest of politicians or people getting their hands greased in business doing deals with the government. It's the first time that I can say I believe that is happening. So I think that's being reflected in the polling. This story is a little hard for me to talk about because those people in Western North Carolina sound like me. You hear that all the time. They want the firefighters to sound like them and look like them when they come in the house. I don't necessarily believe that. But I do think it does matter if things are happening in communities and nobody's paying attention to it. And these people are always left hanging out to dry. And I mean the people in the rural parts of North Carolina, Tennessee. You can certainly say in Kentucky and West Virginia and the Appalachians.
You know those people.
I feel like I do.
You grew up with those people.
Certainly feel like I do. And I can relate to how they're treated and how they're looked down on. So when I tell you that the people that run FEMA belong in jail, I'm not just telling you that to try to get a reaction out of you. I'm not. I think they belong in jail, and I believe FEMA should be closed for good, just like Donald Trump has talked about. They left those folks in Western North Carolina high and dry. They sent money that was supposed to be used for them to house illegals. And now, because of that, we learned that a 96-year-old woman was left in the cold, physically froze to death in Western North Carolina in that freezing, the cold snap that brought snow to the southeast, that brought snow to Atlanta, and of course that included North Carolina. But I mean, it snowed in Charleston, it snowed in New Orleans. It was that kind of winter cold snap. And this woman froze to death. This is something that I am so fed up with, and I feel like the American people are furious about. And they don't even know this story yet. This is just coming out, that a woman at 96 froze to death. The status quo and every single bureaucrat that props it up and every agency in the federal government should be stripped down to the bare bones, just like we were talking about when people believe that America's starting to head down the right track, because that seems to be what's happening. I want Donald Trump to dismantle FEMA and it to be sort of shredded and thrown into the air and gone forever. These people belong in jail. This is exactly what I voted for, and I won't be satisfied as an American citizen, as a voter, until it happens, because of what they did to this one woman that no one's going to talk about. You're not going to see it on CNN. They're not going to talk about it. My liberal friends that told me that FEMA was doing a great job in Asheville, North Carolina. Well, they may have in Asheville because there's a bunch of liberals there that vote for them. That those people in western North Carolina, in the hills, in the remote areas that nobody gave a damn about, they deserve to be treated just as well. They deserve to be treated like Americans that pay their taxes and are treated. It's just. Well, it just makes me so damn mad, dude.
I know, and I'll tell you just from dealing with FEMA in the past, if I had $500,000 laying around, you could take FEMA apart by just going to regular Americans in Hawaii, California, and North Carolina and just letting them speak to a camera. Because you would find out how inept, how uncaring, how ridiculous the amount of rules that go into play when you're just trying to rebuild your home, when you just want a little bit of extra assistance, when you've been told, hey, the federal government's here to help you. Okay. Do you have insurance? Yes, I do. Okay, we're moving on to the next house. Yeah. Well, wait a minute. You're here already. Aren't you here to help? No, your insurance company's going to do that. The amount of then regulations that go into this, and to understand that there's so much of this money that has been reallocated to other pet projects in a similar way that Social Security gets done. You know, your money, like, where's my Social Security at? Yeah, it was spent on different pet projects that the government had. That is where people are going to get extremely angry. When you have regular Americans, including that poor woman at 96 years old who froze to death.
Think about what you just said, dude. She froze to death because they did nothing to help her.
And what they'll tell you, and here's the other part that'll make you crazy. And I was seeing it was this one woman. She had like 37 acres of land, and she had her county tell her that she could not put a tiny house on it because it was not allocated for that. So she's like, wait a minute, this is my land. Why can't I do this? Well, you can't. It's against our county laws. And so if you do, we'll put a lien on your property and we'll take it from you. So it's a total mess. It's what happens. And so, yes, it starts with a 96-year-old woman freezing. There is going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of these stories about how impossible this group is to work with at all, and how they don't care.
And I know, and you've been very open and honest about your dealing with FEMA when your house was destroyed by Hurricane Michael. And I can, dude, I sympathize with you. I think it's awful.
We had it pretty good in comparison to a lot of these people.
That's exactly what I was about to say, man. It's exactly what I was about. As bad as it was and as frustrating as it was, and the stories that you tell, that would piss anybody off because they're like, oh my gosh, how am I not able to do what I need to do to restore my life after a natural disaster that no one could prevent? It's not anybody's fault.
Yeah, this was not our home. You know, that's in Atlanta. You know, my daughters, after that happened, got to lay in their beds and be comfortable and be safe. This was a place in Florida. Now, you can imagine what happens when you go through one of these horrible experiences and it's you and your kids and you're cold and you're wondering, what are we going to do now? And your federal government has said, hey, we're coming to help, and they're no help. And your money has instead been directed to illegals in New York.
In a luxury hotel. Oh, don't call it luxury. They'll be mad at you if you call it luxury.
$59 million. And you're sitting back saying, I need like $200 so I can stay in the motel this week.
This woman froze to death on January 6th. Listen to this. This is the quote from the medical examiner. Complications from hypothermia following environmental exposure after a home washed away in the flooding. This woman had nothing. And they did nothing to help her. She pays her taxes. That's what that's supposed to do. And instead, they gave it to somebody else. And I'm not saying that those people are bad that are in that hotel in New York. I'm not saying that I dislike them. Do they belong here? No. Did they break the law? Yes. Do I despise them? No. But do I think there's a right and a wrong way of doing everything? Yes. The answer is clearly yes. This woman, 96-year-old, we're not taking care of children. The Biden administration lost 350,000 children that they kicked open the door and invited here. Now, the Trump administration, to their credit, has found many of them, but not all. So the most vulnerable people are being left just flapping in the wind. This woman that died at 96, these children, and that's the loving left? That's what they would tell you? Don't judge us by our results, judge us by our intentions? Hell no, you're getting judged by your results and they suck. You're terrible at this and you should not be in charge. We don't need all these federal employees because we've got them and we've seen what they do and it's nothing.
This is why I talk about being an aggressive nationalist. Our people first, everything else comes behind it. Now, right. What we have to do, and I think this is one of the areas that we have to pay attention to, we are so focused on the home front, and we should be. It's our money that's going out the back door around the world. That's what we have to start saying, okay, how do we keep this here so that when we have the next national disaster, the next fire, the next flood, the next hurricane, that we can be the Ron DeSantis's of the world. Roll right in, take care of the people, get everything back to, we're not talking luxury. We're just talking about livable, so that people aren't dying of exposure, so that people have fresh water, so that people can bathe. These are basic things that we're looking to do. And the more of that money that sneaks out the back door and finds itself at, transsexual plays in Bulgaria, all right? Like, that doesn't need to happen anymore. We need to be focused on taking care of home by making sure that our money's not escaping out the back door around the world. Why
Americans back Doge at 80%? Is
why Rasmussen polling is showing we're going back in the right direction.
That's exactly right. Because people are finally being held accountable. And they've not been for the past 40 years, 50 years. Definitely in the last 4 years. But even longer than that, because we've all known the waste, fraud, and abuse was there. And now there is someone that is there to hold them accountable finally. And it's not even a part. Like, that is completely separate from what FEMA did to this woman. But I think that finally filters down to even FEMA. And like I said, I hope they did just destroy. I hope they dismantle it. It's useless. It's useless. All right. Moving on. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. The Democrat plan to win again relies on, get this, identity politics, the thing that they just lost in historic fashion with. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
After a visit from the president and a couple of rain delays, the Daytona 500 finished in overtime laps. And for the second year in a row, William Byron came out in first at the Great American Race. NBA All-Star Weekend is all wrapped up. Damian Lillard won the three-point contest for the second year in a row. Mac McClung won the dunk contest for the third year in a row. And Steph Curry won his second All-Star Game MVP Kobe Bryant Award. Atlanta sports will be back later this week with the Hawks playing on Thursday and the Braves kicking off spring training on Saturday. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Central Heating and Air Conditioning would like to thank you for trusting them with your heating and air conditioning and home performance needs by throwing the 28th Annual Winter White Sale going on right now through the end of February. And you can save up to $2,000 because with carrier rebates, the best in the business, working with the best in the business at Central, you're guaranteed to get the best deals possible. And why is Central Heating and Air Conditioning the best? Well, they're one of the few locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. With Central, you're not just a number, you're a member of the family. It's been that way since 1947. And it's still that way today. Central Heating and Air Conditioning can fix what ails your house health and possibly your family's health with home ventilation and air quality products. Central has packages designed around health using variable speeds, fresh air ventilation, air cleaners, air purifiers, dehumidifiers, and more. Central Heating and Air's 28th Annual Winter White Sale goes through the end of February. So check them out online at centralheat.com or call them at 770-GET-HEAT and turn to your Atlanta carrier expert.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
A musician with technical knowledge can play all the right notes. But one who cares enough to play from the heart gives music soul. At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking. Because when you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Start feeling unstoppable. Visit truist.com/care. Truist Bank, member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. The civilian world can be confusing, and veterans do not need to journey through it alone. When you reach out to the Warrior Alliance, we will guide you to the best-in-class resources that can lead you toward renewed purpose after serving our nation. Find out why thousands of warriors have found success after service after engaging with the Warrior Alliance. For assistance, go to thewarrioralliance.org or call 404-210-1776.
Wherever you are in Georgia, you can stream Extra 106.3 and crystal clear digital with the all-new Extra 106.3 app. Get Extra's live on-air stream in real time, or go back and listen to all your favorite shows, Neil Bortz, or original podcasts, no matter where you go. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. Glad that you are here. 404-741. 1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. And Joey's singing along to this song this morning. So
even on Rumble.
Yeah, so are we really?
And TikTok.
Yeah, no, I don't we probably should be on Rumble, but I don't think we are.
We got YouTube.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we're on
and
YouTube.
we're on X.
And yes, that's right. X is the only one that really matters. I mean, let's be honest.
And Blue Sky, I mean, it's elite.
Yeah.
We put a whole lot on Blue Sky.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. Boy, search us out at Extra 106.3 on Blue Sky. I mean, it's hard to say that.
Pedo Tug at bluesky.com.
Woo! Yes, so weird and gross. So the Democrats have this great plan, Los. They have this plan to get back in power, to pursue their leftist, communist dreams, and it starts, well, with exactly how they lost in historic fashion, identity politics.
I think the plan is actually coming together, and we'll have some more audio on this of the Democrat machine that believe they lost last November because they didn't talk about this identity politics enough. They feel like that if they just talk more about it, everything's going to be good. And so even though we see polling where Kamala Harris is the front runner within the Democrat Party, you have Democrats talking about, hold on a second, Jasmine Crockett, this new wave of younger females is the future. First off, female ain't your future, all right? Yeah. Young men, write that down there. Write that down there, just so you know, all right? You got it? Make sure, JoJo Virgin River, female is not your future. All right, so the Democrats haven't figured that out. Beyond that, though, militant black discussion points seem to be the weird place they're going to, in part because they lost minority voters in a way they haven't lost them since the 1960s. So their idea is, what if we can get them back? What if we can spend the next 2 years to where the black vote will come back home by us talking in these crazy ways? I want you to take a listen. So this ends up being, in this case, Aisha Mills. Now, Aisha Mills identifies as a black lesbian woman. She's on CNN. The person she's debating and talking about stuff with, she decides that once she has lost the argument, just like everybody else does, you have to fall back on your identity politics. That's how they plan to beat Trump. Take a listen.
This, as an
Aisha,
American,
let's talk about Kamala
makes
Harris.
me really concerned.
Let's talk about Kamala Harris in
as
short-term
a black lesbian who Donald Trump doesn't believe has genes as good as his. Is he going to attempt to
Really?
exterminate me
Why do you
when
believe
he
that,
gets
Aisha?
elected?
Why do you
Because
believe
he's
that?
damn near said it. That's why, David. That's why.
Because he's
okay, and I'm not
has he
going to be
said that,
lectured by some white man who has no idea what he's talking about and is trying to rewrite history here.
Aisha,
I am
shame on you,
afraid,
Aisha.
as an American,
Aaron.
of a Donald Trump presidency and his actual quotes
Shame
are
on you,
why.
Aisha.
Because I take him seriously, and I think that he believes what he says, and that is why he is a danger and a threat to America.
Aaron, you can't have a
right, let me
rational
just say,
discussion
I
if somebody doesn't
appreciate-
want to talk
okay.
about topics.
Now, please, Aisha Mills, continue this. Because mainstream black America thinks you're crazy.
Yes,
and they
do.
think you're broken, and
That's
they
right.
think you're nuts. But when it comes to CNN, there's a portion of that audience that's
Well,
like, yeah, you get them, sister. Woo!
A small portion, because it's a small portion
It's
of people
like
watching.
100,000 people, which is nothing. It's a
Yes.
drop in the bucket.
That's
But
exactly
yet, those 100,000 people, they're pumping at the fist of the television.
But it's like, my sweet Aunt Peg, whom I love, she's probably in there. Yes, you tell them that.
You
Donald
let them
Trump-
know, sister,
That's right.
you will not be stood up to.
right. That
Don't
Donald
let them
Trump-
talk logic to you.
That's right. Have none of that logic nonsense. Don't focus on the things that matter. But it's interesting to me that they would think, hey, going hard left, even more hard left than they already have, would be a strategy. Going more identity politics is the strategy. So they're saying, what lost us this election in historic fashion, let's double down on that. That's the thought process. Like, nobody's going, hey, wait, mate, just hear me out. Just let me lay this out for you. Maybe we don't go that road because we got our asses kicked doing that.
The wild part of all of this is that you have Democrat analysis that believes they just didn't do it enough.
No, I know. That's my point, yeah.
And everyone has turned this stuff off. There is nothing greater than when we now are, especially when it comes to our audience and the people that do listen to us, yet attack us on Twitter or everything else, when they're like, you guys are racist. I was like, maybe 6 years ago that would have worked.
Yeah, but it didn't work.
Maybe 5 years ago I'd been like, well, let me justify what I'm saying. Now I'm like, thank you for the red badge of courage for coming up with this.
I don't feel obligated to justify anything.
No, you don't have to. But this is all they really have.
No,
and
that's
it's
right.
in the interest. Where Aisha Mills is way behind the game is that she really thought to herself, when you're losing an argument, go to the card.
Yeah.
Go to the race
I'm
card,
not
go to the
listening to some
lesbian
white
card.
dude.
And at that point, he won't be able to attack me any further. In Trump's America, we actually point out that you're a giant idiot.
Yeah, it's just the
And when
hypocrisy.
you go to, I'm a black lesbian, I go, I don't care. That just means at this point that you're a dumb black lesbian.
Right. Which there's plenty of people. I mean, just look at our guy up in Pennsylvania. What's his name? The dude, the gay man that went up there and flipped Pennsylvania, the persistent Scott Pressler.
Scott Pressler.
Like, I don't care that he's gay. That
No,
never even
don't
crossed my
care
mind.
one bit.
I love the results of what he did.
I hope he keeps killing it. And
Well,
by the way,
he's moving to New Jersey.
If he wants to post more pictures of him and his boyfriend, I'm like, go for it. Have at it.
Bother me whatsoever. I do not care. Continue making America great. That's what I want to see, and that's the results that he provided. Without him, Trump doesn't win Pennsylvania. I firmly believe that. There's not any of me that doesn't believe that.
He registered so many more Republicans that by the time we got to Election Day, it was even. Now, before in 2020, it just was not. And so the mail-in ballots, that ended up putting, basically Democrats over the top by, I think the margin was right around like 80,000. All right. What happens when you go out and you register 300,000 people to vote Republican? Pressler won.
You win. Do you think that the lady that you just played, Aisha Mills, do you think she's registering 300,000 people to vote?
You don't understand. I'm on CNN.
That's right.
And I'm a black lesbian, and you can't talk to me like that.
There's more people registered to vote in Pennsylvania because of a gay man than you'll register to vote. Do you think she sees that as a challenge? Because she should.
And I feel like I've been stolen against here.
In what way?
Because for the better part of 3 years, I have self-identified as a black lesbian,
yes, that's right.
so that no one can question me about anything at all. Because I sat back, and whenever everyone would always say, like, "Oh, I don't like your opinion on that," I'm like, "Well, I'm a black lesbian woman."
You can't argue.
But now I actually had to point this out when I was on our sister station. I now identify on our sister station as non-binary.
Oh, that's
which
even
then
better.
gives me the right to do whatever I want.
That gives you even more credibility.
Yeah, I know. I can say whatever I feel like. And when they're like, "Oh, Los, I don't know if you can say that," I go, "It's okay. I'm non-binary."
That's right. It's like, what was it? Was it The Simpsons that they did
Family
that?
Guy.
Family Guy. There we go.
Talk about a trans person watching pornography at the bar.
Yeah.
It's like, "It's okay. I'm transgender." Oh, well, then do whatever you want all the time.
Yes.
It's the same concept. As long as I'm non-binary, I can do whatever I feel like all the time, and nobody can question it at all.
I feel like I need to be non-binary.
In an insane world.
Right.
In a sane world, we all just roll our eyes and go, "Yeah, no,
That's
not gonna
still
work."
crazy.
No.
It's still crazy.
Sorry, Aisha Mills.
It's still crazy.
We're in the arena of ideas, and because you went to your primary deflector shields, it didn't improve your argument. It didn't help you.
And it didn't gain the network that you're watching any more viewers. So there's that.
Did you hear that CNN was strong enough to have a black lesbian who questions white men, who actually put her in the corner and make a good point?
Oh, my goodness.
I will not listen to this from a white man.
That's right. Yeah. How about just debate? How about leave the identity politics out and just debate on merit of your points and counterpoints? No, you don't want to do that? Why not? What?
Because they're not that good.
That's right, because they're your points.
Occam's razor. The obvious answer typically is the right answer.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, man. But
why do you go to that? Because you don't have a point that's going to work.
There's nothing there. There is nothing there. There was a whole bunch of stuff on TV this weekend. I didn't get to see Saturday Night Live. Want to. I hear it's great. And then the hockey thing, and we'll get to it at some point. That blew up, and it just so happened my wife told me that it's USA Canada, and I was like, oh, with everything that's happening, I bet that's going to be salty. And I knew nothing. I had no idea that there had been some build-up to this. And then, sure enough, within 9 seconds, there's 3 fights after the Canadians boo the American national anthem.
So let me start this by pointing out, family is Spanish, Chinese, white, Mexican. So I have a whole lot of things I'm able to say about a whole lot of people because them's the rules, right?
Yes, the ones that Aisha Mills laid out.
That's the way it goes. If you identify as such, if you're part of such, you can say whatever you want. The funniest meme over the weekend was Barron Trump talking to his dad and saying, "Dad, we've beaten the snow Mexicans. It's time to invade."
What? Was it a real thing?
No, of course not.
No,
it's a meme.
Yeah, it's a meme. Okay, all right. It was like, is that
Dad,
real?
We've beaten the snow Mexicans at their own game. It's time to invade.
I love it.
Again, it's just comedy, but I think I'm going to go with snow Mexicans from here on out.
You should.
We got the Mexicans to the south.
That's right.
We got the snow Mexicans to the north.
6 o'clock hours brought to you by Super.
They all just keep pouring stuff in anyway, right? What's the big deal?
That's exactly right. Let's go back to the Obama days when the Dems were in favor of Doge. What? No way. Yes way.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's the Kimmer. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
Guess who among Democrats is polling number 1 to be their next candidate for President of the United States? Kamala Harris. Boy, the Democrats and the Democrat voters have really learned their lesson this time, haven't they?
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Find your perfect Ford today at Jim Ellis Ford, Sandy Springs. Home to one of Atlanta's largest selections of new and used vehicles. They're just 4 miles north of 285 on Roswell Road.
Stop by today to explore their incredible inventory of cars, trucks, and SUVs, each thoroughly vetted to meet the highest standards.
Looking for power and performance? Drive home a legendary Mustang or conquer the great outdoors in the rugged Bronco.
Need family-friendly space? The Explorer and Expedition have you covered. Or experience the capability and strength of America's best-selling truck, the F-150.
And when it's time to finance, their straightforward, hassle-free process ensures your experience is stress-free.
With access to numerous lenders and expert guidance, they'll help you find the best rates and terms to fit your budget.
Which Ford will you drive home next? Find out at Jim Ellis Ford, Sandy Springs, or visit them online at jimellisford.com.
Your Ford dreams are waiting. Make them a reality today at Atlanta's favorite Ford dealer, Jim Ellis Ford, Sandy Springs.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretired.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Are you tired of dealing with drafty, inefficient windows? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage Entry Doors and Windows. It's time to upgrade these old windows. Replace them with double pane, beautiful, energy-efficient windows. Your new windows will help you regulate a perfect temperature throughout your house. Start saving big money on your energy bills and improve the curb appeal of your home. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078.
Securing America.
As the first month of President Trump's new term comes to an end, the focus on removing illegal immigrants has registered some significant numbers, with arrests of illegals up 137% compared to a year ago, with over 12,000 taken into custody between January 20th and February 8th. Border czar Tom Homan commented while appearing on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo, saying border crossings are down 90%.
Less people are dying crossing the border. Less Americans are dying from fentanyl overdoses. Less women and children being sex trafficked across that border. Less terrorists are getting in.
But he says the work is actually just beginning.
At last count, we had over 600,000 illegal aliens with criminal convictions walking the streets of this country.
Homan expressed continued frustration at sanctuary cities that are still not granting ICE agents access to those scheduled to be deported. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
Is Russia getting ready to stop the war in Ukraine? I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News talks are planned tomorrow in Saudi Arabia, where Secretary of State Marco Rubio has arrived to lead the U.S. delegation. Russia's foreign minister will be there. President Trump says after his call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin,
I think he wants to stop fighting. I see that.
Now, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is skeptical about Putin.
He's a liar. He doesn't want any peace. But I think he's really a little bit scared about the President Trump.
Zelensky also tells NBC's Meet the Press he will not accept any agreement to end the war if Ukraine's not directly involved in the talks. European leaders are meeting today, also not happy. They're not part of the U.S. and Russian negotiations.
So they're going to tackle how to respond to the fast-moving pace of the Trump administration, which came as a shock to many of these European leaders, Washington's shifting policies, and the Trump's team's conversations with Moscow. Much of the focus will also center on bolstered defense spending efforts and the big question of sending troops to Ukraine after a ceasefire.
Fox's Alex Hogan. This is day number 500 for the hostage nightmare in Gaza since Hamas launched the terror attack and kidnappings inside Israel, triggering the war.
We're tired as families of these milestones. I did not think we'll reach such a
a terrible milestone.
Moshe Levy tells Fox they are fearful Hamas may not release his brother-in-law, Omri, if the Gaza ceasefire falls apart. Other hostages have been released in recent weeks. Several areas of Kentucky are underwater in a flooding disaster that left 9 people dead. Governor Andy Beshear says
so many of these fatalities were due to attempts to drive through water and through moving water.
About 1,000 other people had to be rescued. There's also flooding in Tennessee and Virginia, another storm death in Georgia. Back to President Trump. He spoke about Russia after he left the Daytona 500 where he took a lap in his limo.
I am a really big fan of you people that you do this. I don't know, but I just want you to be safe.
William Byron won the race last night. America's listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or ConsumerCellular.com today. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Hey, it's your old pal Neil Bortz. I'm back on Atlanta's only conservative news talk station, Extra 106.3. Okay, here's more of the Morning Extra.
If you're a fan of Neil Bortz, we'll talk to him tomorrow about 30 minutes from now. So fast forward a day in 30 minutes.
All right, we're teasing it like it's going to happen.
Oh, that's right. He's on vacation, isn't he?
He's on a ship. So we have to kind of see, because sometimes he makes it a point to make time for us, even when he's on a ship.
That's right, yes.
But
I don't think
really
this
know.
I don't
know about this one. But plan on it. 7:25 tomorrow. You either get Neil or fake Neil.
We'll give you a peek behind the kimono.
That's right. Either way, we're going to tell you what Neil's up to.
Give you a peek behind the Wizard of Oz.
He was so all over the place last time that we had him on. I mean, it was like riding a bull.
It was hilarious. Good. It was so good because some of the things you're like, oh my gosh, Neil, that's right. And then some things you're like, Neil, what in the world are you talking about?
I mean, Neil's an institution in this town. I just didn't realize how much he was into all the things he's into.
Yes, right. And if you missed anything, go back and listen to it on the Extra 106.3.
I mean, for those of us who have listened to this format, worked in this format for a number of years, to know that Neil is into the things he's into, it just adds a little bit of flavor.
Indeed, it does. But we'll give you a little peek behind the curtain. Neil, in preparation to be on vacation, to be on this ship, sent all of this week's his
commentaries ahead of time?
Yes, yeah. We have them in-house already.
Did we get gummies along with it?
I don't think you sent those. I don't think you can send those in email.
Oh, everyone's
I mean, you can send somebody
thumbs down. Like, apparently we didn't get those to go along with it.
No, there's cupcakes back there, but no gummies. So unless there's maybe, I don't know, maybe those are special cupcakes like they do brownies. They could be. I don't know for sure. Cameron brought them in, so it would lead me to believe it's more likely yes than no.
Yeah, better than zero chance.
That's right.
If that occurred.
Well better. Well better than zero chance. with the what is going on,
man?
The
world has changed, man.
Yes, it has. I mean, we got people around us that are doing all kinds of things that I don't condone. Okay?
Listen, I say this story about my dad, and if he's listening, I'm sorry that I'm telling this story.
Sorry, Daddy.
After he went through his bout with cancer, this was a straight-edge guy who'd never even smoked a cigarette.
Well, I think it's different when you've gone through cancer, though.
Margaritas, beer, that sort of stuff. It wasn't until a couple of his friends, and he was having trouble sleeping, were like, hey, why don't you try these sort of other products? Mm-hmm. And now my dad is a Walter White
of
these other products.
Of guys and gummies.
In fact, myself and my brother, we were with him in Colorado like 4 years ago, and we walked into a dispensary, and we both looked at each other and said, who the hell is this man?
What have you done with my father?
I'd never seen it or heard it before.
That's funny.
But in retirement and as a cancer survivor and everything, hey, by all means, enjoy.
Helps, it can't be worse than the rest of the crap that they actually prescribe to you.
I'm big into this. Don't go with the hardcore narcotics.
Yes.
Find something that's going to be easier on you.
I just, man, I can't.
Write that down, Joe. No hardcore narcotics. Find something easy on your system.
Yes, I'm not.
Just so your liver doesn't explode.
All of it just makes me nervous.
I'm telling you, RFK Jr. is going to. He's going to side with me on this stuff.
Yes, he is. 100% he is. And it's crazy because my brother-in-law, who is retired Air Force, great guy, super smart dude, he's concerned about RFK. And I was like, why? And he was like, well, just there's a whole bunch of things that I question about him and things that he said over the years or whatever.
It always comes down to such as and please explain.
Exactly. And I did. And there was not really a good explanation. There wasn't really anything good.
I saw it on the news.
I'm supposed to be
concerned.
And I was like, dude, tell me something that RFK is going to get so much more wrong than we've gotten wrong in the last 50 years. Give me something. One thing. And, of course, there was nothing. And my brother's a smart guy, dude. I mean, Air Force, captain, a smart dude. And just is bought hook, line, and sinker what the media is selling. Because they've been selling it for a long time, and I guess over the years, you just finally buy it. Look at that peg.
It's like the Department of Education. If we were doing such a good job,
that's right.
Then why do we have so many students in advanced ages, not like first, second, third,
eighth grade
who can't read, that they're legitimately legally illiterate?
Our girl Angela Morabito has been reporting on it on this station, on Fox News Channel, any place else that'll let her talk about it.
When we talk about Health and Human Services, and we see that right now we have this explosion in all of these different, whether it's Alzheimer's or heart disease or autism, whatever you want to bring up, anxiety. Explain to me how we're up 300, 400-fold as a society.
Yeah, the addition just doesn't work.
At some point, you just have to say, you guys are not doing a good job. We need to go a different direction, or at least a different set of analysis. It's not like RFK Jr. is going to make a decision that's going to make something explode 300-fold from 300-fold now.
Right, and that's the thing. I think the American people already said, you guys have gotten it wrong. We've got to go in a different direction. That's the reason you got Trump in office, and that's the reason RFK is now Health and Human Services Director.
That was the vote.
That's exactly right. People already felt exactly what you just said, and it played out. And back then, way back when, you might remember Barack Obama and even Joe Biden, when they were talking about, we probably need to get to the bottom of this fraud, waste, and abuse in the government.
Budget reform is not an option. It's a necessity.
The American people are entitled to transparency.
We can't sustain a system that bleeds billions of taxpayer dollars on programs that have outlived their usefulness or exist solely because of the power of politicians, lobbyists, or interest groups.
They're entitled to be able to figure out where their dollars are going, and they're entitled to accountability to make sure that we're using the dollars for what we said it was for.
We are going to go through our federal budget, as I promised during the campaign, page by page, line by line, eliminating those programs we don't need and insisting that those that we do need operate in a sensible, cost-effective way. What should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue.
No amount of waste is acceptable, not when it's your money.
That sounds an awful lot like Doge. I mean, that sounds like what Doge says their goal is, and you have the left melting down when the left used to say the same thing we're saying.
All right, so Barack Obama is the golden god, right? I mean, that's the standard by which that they judge all things. Everything he's saying was lip service.
Of course.
Because he knew it. We all know it. Everything he's saying was correct. But he never touched anything.
It was never intended.
No.
He was never going to do any of those things.
I'm going to say it.
Because all that money's coming back to him and his party. He was never going to change
I'm going to say it, but we're not actually going to do anything about it.
But it sounded really good.
No, it does. It sounds very centrist for somebody who was extremely very far leftist. Yeah. It sounds like a very centrist view to tell people, I'm looking out for your money. Because at that point, whenever I go to, work and I'm like, hey, did you hear what Barack Obama's doing? He's watching out for our money. He's looking out for waste, fraud, and abuse.
This guy's on our side.
He's with me. Not so much.
Right, because even Republicans, when they heard that, even conservatives, when they heard that way back when, were like, well, I mean, I do want him to do those things, so maybe he's not as bad as
They
he
were
seems.
so scared to criticize him.
That's exactly right. They were terrified to point out that he was a leftist, that he was a communist, and we know it.
What if they called me racist?
Right, but that worked then.
Back when they were afraid of such things.
Back when, Aisha Mills in the last hour, you may not have heard, or if you weren't here quite yet, we played a cut of a woman named Aisha Mills who identifies as a black lesbian, and
she's self-admitted.
Yeah, that's right.
As a black lesbian.
Yeah, that's right. She made sure she said it aloud so everybody knew. But the problem was she was losing the argument. She was losing the debate. And so she used that as the deflector shield. And it didn't work. And she was appalled. She couldn't believe it. She's like, well, why didn't that work?
Aren't you supposed to stop criticizing me? And in fact, you're supposed to apologize.
That's right. Absolutely. Have you not seen these people over the last 10 years, 15 years? They apologize when they say something that goes against what I believe.
And Barack Obama, when he talked about cutting waste and abuse and these expenditures, he looked at it as camouflage.
That's right.
You will not look further into my policies as long as I say these things. And what are you going to do? Are you going to criticize me? I'm the first black president.
You can't.
Who was attracted to men in college and told his told his girlfriend.
That's right, in letters.
In letters that you can now find at Emory University.
It said, I fantasize about men. These are at Emory University. This is not the show just making things up. It's at Emory University in his files.
I feel the need that whenever we bring that up and I bring that up, we always have to go the same thing. You're always like, and you'll find the letters at Emory University.
I think it's important for people to know.
That he told his college girlfriend that he fantasized sexually about men. Man, you want to talk about people being fooled in the early 2000s. They're like, this guy is hope and change.
And I remember the day he was inaugurated, I was like...
No, he was ding and dong.
Yeah, yes, he was. Yes. Yes,
man, it's a Monday.
It is indeed. Welcome to the Morning Xtra, 404-741.
He was jingly-jangly. That's what he was into.
That's right.
And telling you one thing and doing another.
Doing completely
It's
another.
amazing how he was like that in his personal life.
too.
Apparently,
That's right. You beat me to it.
We need to stop spending. And I'm all about the jingle jangle.
That's right. Ding dong. The witch. Well, nothing to do with the witch, actually. So there's all the fraud, waste, and abuse that's being uncovered, and then they used it, like Los is saying, camouflage, so you wouldn't question anything because it seemed like Barack Obama was in the middle, and we know that he wasn't. Now, there's other things that are going on in D.C., Los, because of all the craziness, all the firings, like when it comes to the housing markets. And we talked about the Google searches last week with the people that are looking up defense attorneys in D.C. more than any other place in America, and it's not even close.
I give credit to Zero Hedge. Oftentimes, they are way ahead on the curve, and to the point where I don't think they've lost credibility, but you always go, all right, let me give it a couple days to see how legit this is. Yeah. Let's see how this plays out. And they went a different level. Like, again, defense attorney, we've known now, and it's pretty mainstream. Google searches are up on that.
Yeah, even ABC did it over the weekend.
They did it as well.
Story.
So you've got a whole, mainstream media that are doing it. Zero Hedge actually has it going even further. Here are the additional ones that are now popping up when it comes to searches in D.C., in that general area. Bleach bit, wipe hard drive, and offshore bank.
They're like, how did Hillary get this done? Can somebody call Hill and ask her how she wiped all those servers clean?
How do I kill the trail?
That's right.
Now, again, we're going to find this thing out a couple days down the road, and Zero Hedge is always ahead on this stuff. It's 48 hours removed. It took about, 72 hours, 96 hours before ABC was like, it turns out defense attorney is really being sought after in the D.C. area. This will be the next one. And also, I'm not ready to go forward with this yet. But when you look at the amount of homes in the D.C. area that are now popping up on the Zillows and the Trulias and all those sites, it really looks like a bunch of people went, you cut off my money. Now I got to sell my home and get out of here.
I got to get out of here because I don't have a job here and I can't afford to be here unless I'm on the government teat. There's no way I can do this on my own. I can't operate in the realm of ideas. I can't do that. I can't compete with people that don't have their the path already paved for them.
Well, it's all squared away, all paid for, all taken care of.
All the time.
And I can take care of living in this area, which we've documented plenty of times before. The amount of real estate and the amount of money it costs to live in the D.C. area. You have 4 of the 5 top median incomes in the country to go along with what I think it's like San Mateo, California.
Yeah.
It's like San Mateo, California, and everything else in the D.C. area.
It should point to the obvious that people are taking advantage. The waste, fraud, and abuse is through the freaking roof. And you know it. You already know this. You didn't need me to tell you. You already knew. We all knew. And now we're seeing it under a microscope.
So I want to give you this one. This is a rundown from, this is our friend Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
At Rogue Lou 18. She had a very funny post. She said, I'm feeling spunky. Let's see who's selling houses in D.C. So what she did is she combed through the houses that were all out there and basically cross-referenced them against, all right, who holds these sort of government jobs? She points out, Voter Participation Center, Deputy Director of Mail and Program and World Bank Consultant. That was one of them. How about this one? Kiplinger, Washington Editor's Associate Publisher and freelance writer at the music composer from Mexico. How about another? A secretary on Capitol Hill in the White House, owner of Waterways Council opposed to Regulation Extension, Inc.
Okay, but say what that house is worth, too. That one specifically.
That one is $23 million.
Exactly.
But most of these homes, for the most part, relatively speaking, are like 500 to 800,000.
Right. That one's $23 million. That one doesn't stand out at all.
How about this one? International Business Consultant for Internet Governance and Policy. Okay, that's a $575,000 studio. How about an $848,000 townhome? Data Strategy Manager, AI and Data, Financial Services Technology Consulting. She went through every single one of these that was out there and cross-referenced it against government workers, and so many of them, they hit that mark of, this is what Doge has decided we don't have to pay for anymore. And so as soon as Doge decides it's not relevant, these people are immediately selling their houses and getting out of town.
Right, because there's no way they're going to be able to find a gig that pays that in D.C. There's just not enough for... I mean, there's more employees, just like you talked about the other day, more employees in the federal government than there is Amazon. And Amazon is incredibly effective and efficient, which neither one would be descriptions you would call our federal government.
Yeah, as I look at a handful of more of these, government analyst, territory manager for Fujifilm Sonosite. All right, $969,000, townhome. It's
a townhouse at $1 million.
It is one after another. And so the fun part about all this, and I saw this tweeted out, it was, what happens when we have 45,000 federal workers suddenly on welfare, I was like, well, first off, for anyone who's ever lost a job and jumps into that system, you don't get your pay.
No, you get like a quarter of it or something, right?
You get a tiny percentage of what it is.
Very small.
And you're sitting back going, oh, that's what that is. Like, I remember sitting back and going, and this was like 2008. I spent 2 weeks, and when I got the first check, went ahead and got my check and went, wow, that's very little. And then at the end of the year, the government was like, okay, we need you to pay it back,
That's
too.
right.
And I remember writing that check going like, I'm glad I was only did this for 2 weeks. Here's how it goes. But the idea that somehow this is detrimental to the rest of the United States when you're siphoning money out of the private sector and when they go back on, because again, they basically go from being on the dole to being 25% on the dole.
That's right.
This works for all of us. They're still on the dole. It's only, they lost 75% of it. This is freaking awesome.
Here's me not caring whatsoever.
Not going to cry about it.
Because if you ever lost your job or I ever lost my job, do you think any of those clowns are going to cry?
They don't care one bit.
Don't give a damn whatsoever. All right, when we come back on Extra 106.3, Donald Trump on eggs, inflation, and the leftist narrative. Next on the Morning Extra, Tug and Los until 10.
Hey, it's Flounder, and The Kimmer Show is live every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. This Jasmine Crockett from Texas is trying to clarify to the American people why Doge is illegal, and Elon Musk has no official role to do this, even though she said he's an unelected billionaire.
You know who else was unelected?
Yeah.
Kamala Harris as
Exactly.
the Democratic nominee for president.
Yeah.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
After faux spring, that's what we've been through in the last few weeks. You wake up this morning and it's 30 degrees outside. It's like it jars you. It shakes you. I don't know. We were going to church yesterday and walking into the building. I mean, shivering. It was so cold. Wind whipping around. I don't know about y'all where you live, but where I live, there was a storm that came through about 4:30 in the morning, Sunday morning, and it shook the windows. I mean, you just knew it was going to be a miserable day outside. You know where it wasn't miserable? Inside my house. Tug for Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Because I've been working with those guys for years. They make sure that our HVACs are working up to tip-top shape. So no matter what it is outside, no matter how rugged it is and how rough the weather is, inside, perfect, completely comfortable. You can have that same situation at your house. Right now, 28th annual winter white sale going on. For over 78 years, the folks at Central Heating and Air Conditioning been keeping your home safe, comfortable, and efficient. Now you can save $2,000 in rebates on Carrier products. The best in the business, working with the best in the business, Central and the folks at Carrier. So do not wait. Central's winter white sale ends at the end of February. You got the remainder of the month to go to centralheat.com or call 770-GET-HEAT to work with Atlanta's Carrier experts, Central Heating and Air Conditioning.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPsetc.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Got a to-do list a mile long? No problem. We've got the ultimate solution, our Handyman for a Day program. Here's how it works. You get a skilled handyman dedicated to knocking out your honey-do list. Paint touch-ups, drywall repairs, door adjustments, and much more, all done in one day. You want to jump into spring and not worry about your home? Call us now before the rush for your Handyman for a Day and call us at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. One call, one handyman, one day. The Trusted Toolbox.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
When you buy a Subaru from Subaru of Gwinnett, you're buying more than a vehicle. You're buying safety for your family, an investment that will hold its value, and something that will last a long time. You're buying trust. For a limited time, celebrate all the 2025 models during the Subaru A Lot to Love event, now through March 31st. Whether you're looking to match your adventurous spirit with the 2025 Subaru Outback or lean on the reliability of the 2025 Subaru Forester, Subaru of Gwinnett has the perfect fit for your family. You'll love exploring in the 2025 Subaru Crosstrek, and the 2025 Subaru Legacy is what happens when we put the best of Subaru into a sedan. Plus, every Subaru model comes equipped with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Subaru of Gwinnett has been your hometown dealership for years, and we're proud to be here to help your family find a Subaru to love for years to come. And our award-winning service department is here to ensure you've always got someone to lean on and trust when you need us. Stop in for a test drive on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth and meet our incredible staff, or start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
With your headlines for Monday, February 17th, I'm Carlos Medina. The DeKalb County Police Department is investigating an overnight shooting where 5 people were shot and 1 died. Police say at 2:05 on Sunday, they responded to multiple locations after learning of a shooting that occurred on the 5300 block of Panola Industrial Boulevard. When they arrived, they learned 5 total victims had been shot at that location. One of the victims, a 20-year-old man, was shot in the neck and died. From the weather front, severe storms have left a destructive path across Atlanta and Georgia, leaving many residents without power. Officials said that they restored more than 170,000 customers with power. The fast results were made by the crews using a smart grid technology to allow remote restoration. And a Georgia death row inmate who fatally shot a man while fleeing from a bank robbery in Gwinnett County cannot be executed by firing squad. Instead of lethal injection, a federal judge in Atlanta has ruled. Michael Dance has had a legal battle since 2020, claiming that because of medication, a lethal injection would be unlawfully cruel. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
7 o'clock hours brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. Never have I heard so much about eggs in the mainstream media. Over and over again, story after story after story. And even my sweet Aunt Peg brought it up to me. Man, can you believe how expensive eggs are? And this, she's very close to my sister-in-law, Peeps, who has chickens. So ain't none of us paying for eggs right now. But it's interesting that that's what she brought up to me in a very passive way. She didn't want to get into the conversation, but she's like, man, eggs are really expensive right now. It's a good thing we got Aunt Peeps.
Oh, she's dropping the hook in the water.
Oh, yeah, just to see. And I was like, do I pursue this or do I let it go? And, of course, my better judgment kicked in, and I just let it go. I didn't even address it. I acted like she didn't say it at all, because for 4 years they acted like egg prices. What? Nothing wrong with egg prices. What are you talking about?
Is there a point where you want to say? And again, I'm not related to Aunt Peg, liberal Aunt Peg. She's going to say her crazy MSNBC talking points.
That's right.
Is there a point where you ever thought about? I don't know, like maybe perhaps. I'm not saying physically harm her, but just, in a figurative sense.
Challenge her.
Have you ever thought about, maybe grabbing her by her shoulders and saying, you've been in charge for 4 years. What are you talking about?
That's right.
My man's been in charge for 3 weeks.
That's right.
3 weeks versus 4 years. What are we talking about?
Yes. Every time I walk in the house, I have that urge. And I have to really I have to coach myself through it.
4 years.
That's right.
4 years.
And you did nothing. And you said nothing. And you acted like there was no problems. When everybody else was like, hey, wait a minute. Things are really expensive. And no, you told me it was me. I was the problem because I noticed. That's what the last 4 years have been.
And the entire time they're like, well, just look at your 401k.
That's right. Dude, that was the go-to every time. And I was like, okay, that's great. It looks good. Until you realize you need double that to be able to retire.
All right, so here's the fun part. This is Donald Trump. And again, because it's liberal talking point, it's silliness asking about the price of eggs, which, again, the man, if we're talking about how long you've been in office, all right, he's been in office for like half an REM song. Okay? Like, it ain't that long, right?
Right.
All right, take a listen to when somebody tries to ask him about the price of eggs and how he's so deliberate and throws it right back in their face.
Prices have reached an all-time high. What's your admission? Egg prices have reached an all-time high.
Before I ever got here, it was at an all-time. This didn't. Remember, I've been here for 3 weeks, and when you saw the inflation numbers, I've been here for 3 weeks. I have had nothing to do with inflation. This was caused by Biden. I had 4 years of virtually no inflation. So I'm just taking over. But I'll tell you what, this country has made more progress in the last 3 weeks than it's made in the last 4 years. And we're respected again as a country. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You've been in charge for 4 years. I've been here 3 weeks.
That's right. Just pointing out the obvious. It's not like anybody's confused about that. Yet they want to all of a sudden talk about how
this is
expensive
their only. They've got a
That's
handful of very simple talking points, and this is one of them where any sane American recognizes that it takes time to get where we got to. Now, Donald Trump and COVID era spending in 2020, yes, that helped kick this stuff off, but the baseline spending $2 extra trillion a year was continued by the Biden administration for 4 more years. If you had 1 year of a spike of $2 trillion and then came back down to basically $5.5 trillion in spending, we'd get a little bit of inflation, but it would have already moved through the economy and it would have been over. The Biden administration kept it at $7.5 trillion, a $2 trillion deficit for the next 4 years.
And had they been reelected.
I'm sorry, that's just math.
No, right, but that's hard for people. And look, I'm not a mathematician by any means. I dropped out of college 3 times. Lord, what do I know about math? But I know what addition works and what doesn't. I know you can't spend your way out of debt. You know, that makes no sense. And the crazy thing is, like, they're talking about it now, Los. It's a talking point for the left and the mainstream media, whatever, because, as you said, that's all they got. But if they had been elected, if Kamala Harris would have been elected, these talking points would not ever be brought up. We would be continuing down the same path, and you'd still be being asked, well, why are you bringing this up? It's just you. You're noticing it. Nobody else is.
Okay, so the fun part would have been no one would have asked about eggs.
Well, no, because we would have.
We would have.
Yeah.
We were joking around about the cost of everything. We had pointed out, and I say joke around because we started off by being very honest about it, and then in order to not be upset about it, it turned into a joke.
Yeah, you have to. You have to laugh or you'll cry.
Why do my groceries cost this much? We talked about this early in 2021, 2022. Why do I walk into Publix, buy 4 items, and it's $50?
Because Joe Biden and the Democrats love to spend and spend and spend. And you're seeing it all over Europe. They've been doing it for 40, 50 years. That's why they're in such terrible shape. And as a matter of fact, there's an emergency meeting today in Paris because they're afraid Donald Trump's going to pull out of NATO. They're afraid Donald Trump is going to make them be responsible for their own military. And they don't want to do that. You know why? Because they're spending so much money on entitlement and benefits. They don't want to cut that back. They don't want to focus on their military. Their militaries are dilapidated. You know what's crazy? The Wall Street Journal reported this weekend that the most effective and most prepared military across Europe is the Ukrainians. Reckon why?
Because we're spending. We're the ones fronting it.
But how sad is that?
Yeah.
They can't get out of their own way. They've lost 500,000 men.
So if you go back to 2010, and the only reason I think about this is the headline. It was like, Greece is getting really into this whole idea of cutting spending. They had their austerity programs in 2010. And in part it was because the farmers there were like, we've had enough. We can't live this way any longer. Greece used to have a program where if let's say your dad had worked for the government and he passed away. Now, your dad in retirement was getting paid by the Greek government. They used to allow programs where he could pass that benefit on to you.
Almost like a lottery winner.
And you were still being paid by the Greek government. So you now have across Europe where they've had these weird austerity programs where now they're finally saying, we can't operate like this. And if anything, Donald Trump is putting them in this weird position of telling them, we're not going to cover you for the stuff you've been fat and happy enough to do. You got to figure it out on your own.
I love it, dude. That's exactly what I want.
Tighten your own
people.
belt.
That's right, because we're expected to do it. You are. If you got things you need to do at your house, you pay for it. If you want to send your kids to college, you pay for it. Everything that is set up in the world where it falls on your shoulders unless you work for the federal government or unless you work for a government. And people are sick of it. People are tired of it because it's your tax dollars that's funding it all. And the Democrats and the left have the courage. We'll call it courage. They have the courage to say that if they're going to defeat Donald Trump and get back to things as they always have been, the status quo, if you will, a writer at thehill.com, he goes, what you need to do is go left. He said you need to go further left. If you're going to challenge Trump, he said to defeat Trump, pay no attention to the shift in culture that's happening right now.
But hold on. Pay no attention to the shift in culture.
Don't pay attention to that. They want to go further. You must be brave enough. Continue to avoid common sense and this is how that they will win. This was an article in thehill.com. Don't be afraid to go left.
So if I want to beat you in a baseball game, rather than playing the game better than you do, rather than being more refined, being smarter, being a better ball player than you, what I have to demand is I get 5 outs an inning.
Yes, that's right. And then,
so I have to
and then
change
call me some kind of ist or ism if I don't agree to it.
Well, racist. Can't believe you won't allow me to do this.
Yeah.
Don't you see that I have a black player on my team? I got 25 guys over here, but he's black.
That's right.
Here's what we got to do.
Outs.
By the way, this one's thinking about going trans. You're transphobic.
That's right, because you won't give us 5 outs.
Exactly. Hey, I'm from a South American country. What do you have against Hispanic people? This is the silliness of what goes on. When it really, to me, comes right down to it, if I was getting $1 million, I'll do it for half of it. If I was to get $1 million, I could change the way it comes down to winning elections against Donald Trump. The problem is I'm going to have to try and remake a cult and get them to buy into a different cult religion.
Drink different Kool-Aid.
And that's the problem. This isn't like talking to sane people. If I was to talk to, let's say, my neighbor. Let's say my neighbor is really frustrated with garbage pickup. I keep missing garbage pickup. I'd be like, hey, brother, why don't we put it out the night before? I'll come help you out.
Yeah, what do you think?
We're going to change behavior. We're going to make a small little change, and things are going to work out. The problem with the Democrat side right now is that it is such a cult and such a religion that they base their entire lives on, that when I say, hey, brother, why don't we put the garbage out the night before? What do you mean? I'm not doing that.
Yes, sir.
I'd be bowing down to the man. In fact, that person who's suggesting this is probably racist. Like, it always comes back to the same things.
Always.
But it's not hard to fix the Democrat Party if they were not hardwired in the way they are. It really isn't.
But listen to this. You can't be afraid to be progressive. The Democrats are like a comedy and tragedy, except they switch between progressives and centrists. It doesn't work. They need to move forward, and that is moving to the left. Like, good Lord. I mean, that's exactly what lost them this election. They couldn't be more left. Oh, I didn't think they could. Apparently, the writer of this article, Josh Joseph, thinks that they aren't hard enough left. And I love it because that gives me hope for the golden age of America. The fact that he is saying this, and thehill.com is a leftist website, so lots of other leftists are reading this. They're thinking, yeah, we got to go much more hard left.
Let's double down.
That's right. It made us lose in historic fashion, but that's because we didn't do it hard enough. We weren't leftist enough. We weren't communist enough. This time we'll get it right. This time we'll be communist enough.
It's the great fault of all communists. Every single time
You're not communist enough.
You just weren't communist enough. That's
you didn't
the mentality.
let me try it.
Yeah. Listen, we were thinking about being communist. The only reason it failed, the people did not do it, did not come along with it, and we weren't communist enough.
They kind of tilted toward the center. That was the problem. They tilted toward the center. They were balancing between centrist and then being leftist.
They pushed back on our communism.
What? Right. That's exactly right. So, at the end of the day, they want to be more communist, which shouldn't surprise you. We've been telling you that that's what they do. That's what they always do. And they'll continue to fail. Because for 40 years, pretty much, as they trended to the left, it just finally culminated in 2024. They were trending to the left. And then in 2024, the American people are like, oh, my God. This is way too much. I think this may be overkill. This may be too much. And they voted historically the other way. And instead of figuring it out and going, maybe we did go hard left too much, Mr. Joseph said, we didn't go hard enough.
I think we're going to need to get Kimmer involved because this man is a Marine. Now, a highly educated Marine as I'm looking back into it. How misguided to go against just common sense.
Served in Iraq. He lives in Anaheim, California. He went to Harvard. This is a very smart man.
Yes.
but he has been in the faculty lounge way too long.
I got an idea. Let's go further left. Sounds great, Josh.
Right.
Keep at it, brother.
Yeah.
And by the way, Semper Fi as you go.
That's right. And here's the thing. The beauty is of that way of thinking, the golden age continues. Like, we're 3 weeks into the golden age. It's going to last a lot longer with the people like that around.
You only have about 3 years and 49 weeks.
That's right. Left. But hopefully, if people like Mr. Joseph will continue thinking that way, we may have a lot longer, maybe generations of the golden age. That's the hope anyway. When we continue on Extra 106.3, I love Representative Wesley Hunt. Up next, he explains the Elon-hating left so even they can understand it. Maybe. Next on the Morning Xtra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
After a visit from the president and a couple of rain delays, the Daytona 500 finished in overtime laps. And for the second year in a row, William Byron came out in first at the Great American Race. NBA All-Star Weekend is all wrapped up. Damian Lillard won the three-point contest for the second year in a row. Mac McClung won the dunk contest for the third year in a row. And Steph Curry won his second All-Star Game MVP Kobe Bryant Award. Atlanta sports will be back later this week with the Hawks playing on Thursday and the Braves kicking off spring training on Saturday. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Hey, good morning. It's Front Office Los. Let's talk about Howard Brothers and Ventrac. Not everyone I know has a need for a tractor, but for those of you who do, well, look into a Ventrac tractor from Howard Brothers. Here's the reason. Ventrac is the ultimate versatile compact tractor. This machine has multiple attachments. It conquers steep slopes. It handles heavy brush. It handles mowing. And much, much more. Ventrac is absolutely your all-season solution when you're in need of a compact tractor and you have a multitude of jobs to handle. That's why when you do, you go over to Howard Brothers and you ask their professional staff, many of them have been working there 10, 20, 30 years, about what kind of Ventrac tractor is going to take care of your needs. Visit Howard Brothers or go to howardbrothers.com and see how Ventrac can handle your projects with ease.
Stop dreaming. Start driving. Get the gift that keeps on giving with the RBM of Atlanta Baby It's Cold Outside sales event, exclusively at RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Each of our certified pre-owned vehicles undergoes an exhaustive process of analysis, inspection, and reconditioning until it meets the uncompromising standards of RBM of Atlanta and Mercedes-Benz. For a limited time, get financing from as low as 3.49% APR. In addition, you'll receive unlimited confidence with Mercedes-Benz's unlimited mileage warranty, delivering continued assurance for up to 7 years. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details and see how to qualify. We'd love to welcome you to the RBM of Atlanta family. Not all offers apply to all vehicles, and special financing available to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Services through February 28, 2025. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call 770-390-0700 for details.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Shooting drills. A coach who knows the game can teach their team how to improve. But one who genuinely cares about each player,
you have what it takes. We got this.
Can inspire them to win. At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking. Because when you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Start feeling unstoppable. Visit truist.com/care. Truist Bank, member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank.
Keep up with all of our shows and the latest headlines by following Extra 1063 on Instagram, X, Facebook, Truth Social, and all your social media platforms. Plus exclusive giveaways and more. So follow now at XTRA 1063.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 1063. Glad that you're here. 404-741-1230. If you got something on your mind, add Extra 1063 across the social media platforms.
Quick shout out.
Yep.
So our friend Stephanie. Saw her at Mount Spikemore.
Oh, the volleyball tournament.
The volleyball tournament, now that she's a director with Proline. And so...
and a listener to this show, that's how you knew her before that. But,
yes.
But that's how I got to know.
I met her like a decade ago when it came to, I think we were at a March Madness party. And it was right down the street from the company she owned. And so she came out to say hi to Buck Ballou and John Kincaid and myself. And at that point, I had a name with a face because whenever she'd call in, she would always make fun of my friend Hoyt by talking about how she's going to throat punch him. And then you didn't realize, it's because she's like a black belt.
Yeah, she actually
throat punch him. Right. So, but no, it was funny. She was like, she's like, I want to meet the family. And I was like, sweet. By the time my wife was done talking with her, because I introduced them and I walked off, came back over, my wife's like, we got to go to their fire pit. Yeah. We got to get together with them at some point. We got to enjoy some music and some drinks.
I would love to do that. She's offered that up a few times to do
so we're gonna make it happen.
Up and coming and just listen to old country music and have too many cold beverages. That sounds like the perfect day for me. I mean, I can't think of anything I'd rather do.
It'd be a fun evening.
Heck yeah.
Especially that it's not warm yet. I know that you have an issue with the cold.
That's right. I'll get me a hot chocolate and a liquor drink.
Fire pit, when it's a little bit cold and country music, it's a pretty good combination.
It warms up your soul. Country music warms up your soul.
And by the way, just so she knows, that 14 KIP team went ahead and took out every 15-year-old team that we played against.
Now that's your daughter's team.
6-0.
There you go.
We dropped one set.
That's
and it was in the final match, and they end up winning in 3. So it was a good weekend of volleyball for us.
Dude, that's so much fun seeing the kids do well, and I'm sure Stephanie was very complimentary of the success.
I told her, I was like, hey, you see number 21 over there?
Yeah, watch that.
I was like, she's going to be a hitter in this county.
Dude, and let me tell you,
next year.
You have to understand, Lo showed me this picture of his daughter playing this weekend, and she was jumping out of the gym. I mean, it was if
crazy.
You see the picture, it looks like something you'd see in like an NBA game or something where somebody's just jumping over top of somebody. It was like that. Like her feet were at the bottom of the net, it looked like. I mean, she's jumping out of the gym. It's amazing.
She is not a 5'10", 5'11" outside hitter. She's a 5'8" outside hitter. So automatically it's, well, you're 2 or 3 inches shorter than these other people. I told her.
Until she jumps.
I was like, don't ever let anybody tell you that you're short.
That's exactly right.
I was like, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God. Like we went back and
picture's amazing.
I didn't really, she told me because it was a big play. And she's like, I felt like I was flying. And I looked back at it and we got the picture. I was like,
I understand why.
Like she's flying.
I understand
why.
Okay,
I get it.
Dude, it's so much fun when your kids are playing ball and soak it all up. I know I've said it 1,000 times.
It's a lot of fun. You're right. Enjoying every weekend that we get a chance to do this. And this weekend, we're in Orlando for a qualifier, and sunshine is no joke. But that's another one of those times where every single time we've gone down there, like I counted down, I'm like, all right, I've got 4 more of these with her, and then my older daughter will get there, and I'll have like 5 of those with her. And so I'm like, all right, this is what it is. Here's how many I got left.
So much fun. Soak it all up. And if you've got those stories of your kids doing well and how proud you are
your
of them.
Grandkids.
Absolutely grandkids.
Send us messages.
Absolutely. Or 404-741-1230.
Like right now, I'm looking over at Nick Cellini's Twitter feed trying to figure out how to derail his Twitter question of the day.
Oh, what is it?
It says, Twitter question of the day. What's your ultimate all-star memory? All right. I would like to point this out.
Okay.
Because when you step out in the hallway, our friends down the hall on the left, they are talking about NBA All-Star Weekend and how it all went, what's your all-star memory and whatever. Man, I do not miss that one bit. This is the worst time in the world to ever talk sports. Are you kidding me? Like every single day we have something extremely cool. I get Kash Patel into office in like 3 or 4 days. and then I get an Epstein file?
Yeah.
Like, do you realize how much better it is to be over on this side of the building than it is to be on that side of the building where you're busy talking about, well, who's the Braves fifth starter? I want to be talking about X celebrity having sex with underage girls and how that destroys them.
Absolutely.
That's what I can't wait to talk about.
And when will these people be punished for doing those things because they've skated and they've gotten away with it for so long? When Kash Patel is confirmed, which he will be, what is he going to do and how is he going to dismantle the filth that is Hollywood?
Do you think they can get that excited about talking about Brian Snitker's lineup versus whatever Anna Paulina Luna is doing when it comes to UAPs? Let's face it. I mean,
it's
come
unusual.
On, that's quality stuff right there.
But, dude, it's so unusual for there to be attractive people because, as I've always said, DC is Hollywood for ugly people. When you're also attractive, like Anna Paulina Luna or Lauren Boebert or whomever, that kicks it up to, turn it up to 11 is what that does. Can I tell you my favorite All-Star moment?
Please.
And it wasn't one that I actually witnessed. My daddy was the biggest.
Eggs over easy, bacon, waffle.
That's right.
It's my All-Star moment.
That's right. At the Waffle House. Come on. It was 1972, July 25th. My daddy, last minute, got tickets to go to the 72 All-Star game at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. His favorite player was Hank Aaron. That's why my favorite player is Hank Aaron. And I remember my daddy telling me, Hank goes deep, hits a home run, made his day. The greatest. I don't know that there was a story he told me more often than he told. Anytime we talked about All-Star game coming up, he was like a broken record when he would be like, yep, I was sitting there. 1 on, 2 outs against Gaylord Perry. Hank hits a 0-1 pitch, left center, and gives the national lead a 2-1 lead. He told me that story 10,000 times. I, to this day, have searched and have found a bunch of stuff on eBay that I want to buy because I miss my daddy so much. God rest his soul. Lost him 6 years ago this April. I found a 72 All-Star poster. I've noticed that the Braves at their at the clubhouse store have started because they're supposed to get the All-Star game earlier, and they were selling the throwback 72 All-Star hats, which I am going to get one because it means so much. I wasn't even there, but I know how much it meant to him, so it means that much to me.
Whenever your parents tell you these stories, you wonder how formative that was for them. Like, if that created a certain level of dedication. Because my dad would tell me stories like that, and I was like, okay, that's part of the reason why my dad is who he was. Even as a young man, 16, 17, 18, this was the sort of stuff that created this version of him. I wonder if that's the one that kept your dad from leaving when you were 1 year old to go get cigarettes.
Probably. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, that's probably it.
Home run off of Gaylord.
That's right.
And he was like, I can stick through anything.
I could live. You know what? This kid, he's going to be all right.
He's going to be all right. You know what?
He actually would send me in to buy the Winstons.
Hank didn't run from Gaylord.
Exactly.
I ain't running from this scenario.
Exactly right. So amazing, dude. It's crazy because he grew up dirt floor poor, and
so did my dad. My dad had to he had to go to South Texas to go pick fruit for his family.
Daddy worked in the carpet mills, on the Tufton machines and the Creo rack, putting carpet together in the carpet capital of the world. And just so happened that he's working also part-time at the favorite market gas station. It's like the beer rep comes in, right? And my uncle was the manager of this little corner store, a little corner gas station. The beer rep gives him a pair of tickets to the 72 All-Star game.
That's cool.
He's not able to go. He gives them to my dad. That's like the highlight of his life.
That is awesome.
Dude, I'll never forget.
What a story.
It's so good. And it this is one of those that I'll never forget, obviously. But I don't know if we have time, but I want to play Wesley Hunt real quick.
Yeah, get it in here. It's awesome.
Because I love this guy. And he talks about how much the left hates Elon, and he gives this great little story about why and how it makes no sense.
I've seen Democrats on TV for the past week scream Elon Musk, Musk. It's been quite invigorating, actually. I'm really enjoyed it. And what's funny about it to me is that you're mad at the guy that found the fraud, but not mad at the people that wasted your money. Here in Congress, we clearly can't cut a budget, so I really thank Elon for doing our job for us.
He said, I thank Elon for doing our job for us because we can't do it. We're incapable of getting things done. And he says it with such a smirk that I love seeing because it just burns those on the left.
I don't know. The first time I heard that, and then when you sent it over, I was like, yeah.
Dude, it's one of those that you're like, that's exactly what I wanted him to say. If I would have planned it for him, I couldn't have gotten it.
I am not a fan of government. Okay? The last 3 weeks, I've turned into pom-poms.
That's right.
I was not like this during Trump's first administration. I was not like this at any point in my life. I am enjoying the hell out of this.
Well, I love the fact that it's the government that is actually policing itself, that it's actually trying to tear itself down.
I'm waiting every day for the next shoe to drop so I can smile and laugh over it. This is so different.
Trump is undeniably popular, and so is his plan to axe 15,000 from the most disliked three-letter agency that we know of.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
Well, here I go again with one of my favorite columnists, Peggy Noonan, Wall Street Journal. This column appeared, about 10 days ago. Government keeps going too far. And here, she really pointed out one of the problems with the Democrat Party. They consistently go too far and ask too much, whatever the issue or the program is. She called it ideological maximalism. You get everything you want and you give the other side nothing. And that reminded me of one of my pet peeves. I've been griping about this forever. The Obama handicapped spatulas. Now, under Obama, the folks that administer the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, decided that they had to have devices at every publicly accessible swimming pool to get handicapped people into the water. I call them handicapped spatulas because I'm rude and insensitive. The hospitality industry said, great, we have portable ones we can keep in case anybody ever wants to use one. No, but the government had to go too far. The government had to get everything. We want all of them to be permanently installed by the side of the pool. My old home, the St. Regis in Atlanta, since the pool was publicly accessible, they had to have two of these things, one for the swimming pool, one for the hot tub. The handicapped spatula for the hot tub was bigger than the hot tub. And in all of my travels, and I travel extensively, I would always ask, have you ever used that thing? Nobody ever said yes. Just sit there in the way. A portable unit would be accessible in 60 seconds. Ridiculous. The main use for these things is kids using them for helicopter simulators. I kid you not. Tomorrow, I'll give you another one, even more ridiculous than the handicapped spatula, an example of government going too far. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Real Success. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at ourrealsuccess.com.
Do you want to learn how to make money flipping houses and acquiring rental properties right here in Atlanta? We're offering a handful of motivated individuals the opportunity to attend our workshop right here in Atlanta for free. That's right. We'll give you 2 free tickets when you text FLIP to 64,000. Atlanta is the perfect market to flip houses and build rental income. Discover the simple steps developed by Joe Arias, one of real estate's greatest rags to riches stories. You'll learn to flip properties and secure rental properties without using your own money and in your spare time. Don't miss this opportunity. Come to a complimentary live 2-hour workshop next week right here in Atlanta and learn how to start making money flipping homes and building long-term wealth with rental properties. To get 2 free tickets, text FLIP to 64,000. Text in the next 10 minutes, and registrants will also receive a free copy of our Funding for Deals guide. Text FLIP to 64,000 for 2 complimentary tickets. Text FLIP to 64,000 5000.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
500 days. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That is how long it's been now since Hamas's terror attack triggered the war in Gaza. A ceasefire is in place. Some hostages have been freed. Moshe Levi tells Fox he hopes his brother-in-law will be released.
But we also know that we're dealing with a terrorist organization that is going to put hurdles for the second phase of the deal, in which Omri is supposed to be included.
Trump Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff is in talks on that and tells Fox.
Phase 2 is a little bit more complicated than Phase 1. But Phase 2 is absolutely going to begin.
Now, tomorrow, Witkoff will be in Saudi Arabia, joining Secretary of State Marco Rubio in talks with Russia about Ukraine. President Trump says he thinks Russian leader Vladimir Putin wants the war over.
I think he wants to stop. That was my question to him. Because if he's going to go on, that would have been a big problem for us.
Ukraine's leader says they won't accept any agreement if he is not directly involved in talks with Russia.
It's not clear what role Kyiv will have in the peace talks, but Rubio said on Sunday Ukraine will be part of real negotiations if peace talks advance. A Ukrainian delegation is in Saudi Arabia to pave the way for a possible visit by Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. European leaders are meeting today. They're also concerned about being left out of the Russia-U.S. talks, and they'll discuss possibly sending troops to Ukraine after a ceasefire. President Trump is asking the Supreme Court to uphold one of his many layoffs as he makes big federal cutbacks.
The administration wants permission to fire the head of the federal agency that protects whistleblowers, a guy named Hampton Dellinger. Former President Joe Biden appointed Dellinger to the Office of the Special Counsel. It's a watchdog office that enforces workforce protections for federal employees. And he's arguing that he can only be dismissed for job performance issues, according to the law.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House. The president went to the Daytona 500 and did a lap in his limo, telling drivers,
I just want you to be safe. You're talented people.
William Byron won NASCAR's most famous race. America's listening to...
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or ConsumerCellular.com today. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
You may know Bortz is back, but not everyone else does. Tell anyone who loves America, Bortz is back on the radio in Atlanta, and his new home is Extra 106.3. Listen to him now on the Extra 106.3 app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. Then the Glenn Beck program, Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. From noon until 3, the big show in all of conservative media. And then the local afternoon show with the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. The Kimmer Show, 3 until 6. Did you see Kimmer all dressed up in his tuxedo?
Tuxedo?
Yeah, for Flounder's wedding.
Oh.
I literally just saw it 5 minutes ago. And
can we talk about the elephant in the room? I mean, I get it's a small wedding.
Yeah. That we didn't get invited? Was that it? But nobody wants to go to a wedding. Who wants to go to a wedding?
No, it's not that I want to go to a wedding. I just want to say no to invites.
Right.
But I'm not crazy about doing anything. I mean, if JoJo was to move into an apartment and say, hey, I have an apartment warming party, there's probably a 5% chance that I would show up. But I just appreciate the invite.
Right.
And then I would send a gift.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
And that's the reason why.
It just doesn't bother me whatsoever, man, because I'm afraid of the commitment of having to go. I don't want to go to a wedding.
All right. So there's this thing called the internet. And the internet has a thing called a registry. And all you do is you make 3 clicks and you say...
Pick out. I'll take that. Check out. Pay now. Done.
I bought you spoons.
Yeah.
so that for the rest of time, you can always tell Flounder that spoon that you're eating off of.
Guess who paid for that?
Guess who took care of that?
That's right, I did.
Just so you know, the cowards care for you so much that we got you spoons. But because you didn't get an invite, which means you didn't buy the spoons.
That's right. No, you're right.
Like
but I'm still willing to buy the spoons. If they'll send me the link, I'm still willing to buy. Like, I would do that in lieu of having to go to the wedding.
Okay, exactly. We talk about this on a regular basis.
So we're saying the same thing just from different,
because
different entrance points.
People would rather spend their money than spend their time.
Absolutely. My time is valuable.
Right. I would have sent Flounder and his lovely wife an air fryer. But now there's no air fryer.
No, there isn't.
Because there was no invite.
But like I said.
And I wouldn't have gone because, I mean, obviously I was at a tournament the whole time. Yeah. Exactly.
No,
I had stuff to do. But I still would have appreciated the invite because I want the power to say no, but then I want the power to send something cool.
See, yeah, okay, I got you. My thing is...
Brother had a PS5 on his registry. Brother would have a PS5 coming his way.
I got him hooked up. No,
and here's marriage.
I'm afraid. I like the worst thing I ever get is an invite to something. I'm like, oh, God. Like, how do I say no? Because I don't want to go. I don't care what it is. I don't want to go. You know what I mean? I feel like all I do is run and work and chase, and when finally I have some time off, I just want to be at home. Like Saturday, we had nothing going on, and we did absolutely nothing.
Bottle of wine, bottle of liquor with a bow.
Did that, yeah. We did do a bottle of wine.
And then you're good.
But at home.
Or spoons.
Or whatever.
Or candlesticks.
Or towels.
What is it from Bull Durham? Oh, candlesticks are always a nice touch.
Yeah, right.
Buy him candlesticks. Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, that's the only thing. That's the only thing we disagree on. Everything else we come together on. I don't want the invite.
Just so JoJo knows, you put in, now you're going to have to get married, JoJo, because a housewarming party's not, like, you'll get a bottle of liquor.
Yeah.
But if you get married, air fryer,
You
JoJo.
and Cassandra.
Air fryer.
Joe,
or PS5.
On my invite, say, Tug, I know you don't want to come, but here's the link to the registry.
Right.
And you probably don't want me there anyway. You know, I mean, I feel certain of that, right?
No, you can come if you want.
Damn
You
it.
just
See,
gotta
that's
sit,
what I'm afraid of.
You just got to sit in the back.
That's what I'm afraid of. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to a wedding.
But that means you just have to get him a better gift.
That's I'm fine with that. I'm down with that. Yeah. I love that. I'm just afraid.
Can't make it. I paid for a portion of your honeymoon.
Yes. Well, I don't know if I can afford that.
Well, I mean, there are people that
I was expecting the whole honeymoon from Tug.
Well,
I have expensive taste, too.
Uncle Tug's got a son in college.
That's right.
You have to wait till he's after he's done.
Your daddy's the financial advisor. Ask him. Maybe he can put that bill. I'm not a financial advisor. You know what I do for a living.
I don't know. I think you owe me.
All right.
I think you owe me.
I'm just not sure.
He does owe you.
I'm not so sure about this. I'm not so sure about this. Yeah, look, PS5 maybe. You know, air fryer definitely. You know.
I have an air fryer.
Okay, well you get a better one.
But I don't have a PS5, so there we go.
Let me ask you this: do you have an ice maker? Because True Wealth is your own individual ice maker.
Fancy,
especially when it's the soft.
I know. I keep telling my wife.
Pellet ice?
Yep. I was like, new house, ice maker. And everyone I kept saying this around, because I of all people, it was Jesse Kelly that brought it up. And I already had my ice maker break downstairs in the basement. And I was like, dude, you don't know that you're already speaking to me. Like, I'm the person who's been talking about an ice maker for the longest amount of time. And then when I told everybody, the sign of true wealth is your own individual small pellet, wonderful ice maker.
Yeah.
I went to a friend's house. They're on our volleyball team, our younger team. Dude has a home in the manor. I'm guessing probably $4 or $5 million.
Easy.
What does he have in the basement?
A KitchenAid 15-inch wide, 25-pound pellet ice maker.
Thank you.
$2,378 on Build.com.
I don't know if it's that expensive. I will tell you.
If it's got a $5 million house, it is.
I will tell you that they have a 3-story rock climbing wall in the house, so they have an ice maker to go along with
it. They definitely have the KitchenAid. They're not going for the small one you sit on the counter that you can get on Amazon for $1.39 or $4.99.
Stop buying German cars. Buy ice makers.
I'm with
Real
you.
wealth. Ice makers.
It's hard to argue that. So we got invited to this very cool ranch it's in the corner where North Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina all come together. So there's actually mountains in South Carolina. Most people I don't think realize that but it's where it all comes together. And these people have a ice maker just like the one we're talking about. And everybody, this place has its own casino. It's got its own shooting range. It's got its own bowling alley. And all that's cool. You know what's the most impressive out of anything else? Is the ice maker. The soft pellet ice maker. That's what everybody talks about anytime we go up there. That's what has everybody's attention.
You want to impress everybody in your neighborhood?
It is the truth.
Soft pellet ice maker.
And the kids will be like, I can't wait to go to the Medina's house because they got that soft pellet ice maker. That's everybody. I'm telling you.
Until you have a
Los
basement
is
ice
nailing
maker
this one.
in the freezer that does not work, that's when you recognize just how well-to-do you are when you have a wonderful ice maker.
404-741-1230. If there's something that gives you the impression that somebody is loaded more than the soft pellet ice maker, I don't know what it is. You'd have to tell me.
Working for the government and Doge fires you.
Yes, that's right.
There you go. I beat you to that first one.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's more comfortable?
Not anymore. And the beauty of this is that the American people are behind Donald Trump on all this. Completely behind him. That's exactly what we voted for. And you hear the folks in the mainstream media and the liberals and the Democrats, and they're whining and crying, defending. He put them in a position where they defend waste, fraud, and abuse because that's all they can do. They have no other tactic. I talked about it last week with the Democrat Governors Organization, whatever that's called, where they all get together on a Zoom call. And the only thing they came up with was reject him. No matter what he says, you go the opposite way. If he says, like Los would make fun of this, if he says, I'm against Al-Qaeda, the Democrat Association of Governors in America is for Al-Qaeda. That's how drastic this is. But the American people are in complete agreement and alignment with Donald Trump.
Donald Trump's favorability rating is actually higher than it ever was the first time around. Let me ask you, a recent poll by Marquette looked at several of the things that he has done or says that he is going to do, and 63% favor federal government's recognition of only two sexes, 60% favor deporting immigrants who entered the United States illegally, 60% favor expanding oil and gas production, 59% favor declaring an emergency at the southern border. Is there anything you are seeing that Trump is doing that you are in favor of, that you think is the right thing?
Let me say, as it relates to all of those issues, we're just at the beginning.
I have no idea what his response is. We're just at the beginning. Beginning of what? Well, the beginning of the administration, I get that part. But what does that mean? That you're going to continue opposing everything he does, even though every one of those things that were wrapped off by a commentator on ABC, one of the most leftist outlets. So you're going against everything they're saying, and your response is, well, it's just getting started. That's when you have nothing to say. It's when you're in complete disarray.
They really need a wild misstep right now, because everything that has gone on is so populist in nature that when they argue it, they realize they're digging their own graves. They need some monumental mistake made by the Trump administration that people can point to and say on the other side and say, look, we told you they didn't know what they're doing. But as of now,
it ain't happened.
You gave a billionaire 4 years to plan and to put the right people around him. And so far, there are no weird, crazy mistakes. Even if, let's say, Elon Musk and Doge was to cancel a contract or a DEI program or something where somebody was like, oh my God, you just cost these people that happen to be saving children in some third world country their jobs. It's so strong right now that the American public go, they probably didn't need our help anyway.
Or how much money have we sent so far and how much progress has been made?
It has not improved anything. It's the old Sam Kinison bit.
You talk about the people in the desert.
Why don't you move to where the food is?
That's
you see what's right here? This is called sand.
That's right.
Nothing grows here.
In the sand. Move to where the food is.
It's like we're going to spend our money to move you to where the food is instead of you living out in the sand.
Yeah, because it's true. How many billion?
Write that down, JoJo. Sam Kinison,
What year was that?
World Hunger.
It had to be early because he died in the mid-90s.
It's like mid-'80s when he goes on his entire rant about living in the sand.
I love it.
It's like I know how to fix world hunger.
Yeah.
Get some moving trucks.
Move to where the food is.
Move to where the food is.
Brilliant observation for sure.
For 1,000,000 years, this is called sand. It's always going to be sand.
It's not changing anytime soon. Another thing that's really popular with the American people is firing 15,000 employees of the IRS, the least favorite of the three-letter agencies.
I mean, if you had private industry, if we heard that 15,000 people were being laid off from Delta or Coca-Cola or Amazon or Microsoft or you name it, automotive, Kia, that's a damn tragedy.
Yeah, so
we'd be like, oh my God, here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
When you draw all of your money from the private sector, as much as everyone, oh my God, what's going to happen with this? I was thinking about it in these terms. All right, the cool part about radio, and we have radio professionals that are all over this room, all right? What we do is we provide a product to you for free. We have sponsors that are trying to get their product in front of you. They pay us, our consumers, for free, end up deciding to call those companies, and they then purchase their goods. And so there's this roundabout circle that goes on of commerce. It's how it goes. Everybody ends up making out as long as everyone's taking care of their business. What happens when you don't produce a product or service and you're the government? Then what happens is the money's being taken from the private sector, sent over to these people. Now, those people get to be consumers, and every dollar they siphoned out of the private sector is one less dollar the private sector has. We don't take from the private sector in this way. In fact, we give them our product for free.
And it's being consumed at a record rate.
Yes.
Because you're listening, and we appreciate you more than you'll ever know. I mean, listening times are about 33 minutes, which is about 3 times any other station in Atlanta, including the behemoth, the one that we all listened to, WSB, back in the day. Of course, nobody listens anymore.
The time spent listening to this radio station is gargantuan and compared to almost everybody else in the market.
I want to go back just a second about those 15,000 employees at the IRS. My wife's watching The Chosen, which is it's on Amazon Prime, but there was an app. It's all about Jesus and the apostles all the way up to the crucifixion. And there was a character, one of the disciples, Matthew, and his dad disowns him because he's a tax collector. This is not a new idea of not liking people that take your money away. It's exactly right. I mean, it goes back to biblical dates. But as soon as we started talking about 15,000 employees losing their job and nobody being upset about it, it goes all the way back to Matthew in the Bible.
And the argument comes from the other side. Well, what happens when they're having to draw on welfare? It's the same thing we talked about in a previous hour. They're not getting their full salary. When this happens, and granted, some will get 2 months, maybe 3 because it's the government. So, yeah, we'll let you sit in your butt for 3 months, and then if you want to draw unemployment, then get out and compete. And that's all. And if you were so incredibly good at what you were doing before, then you won't have a problem with this. In fact, one woman who had a tweet about how, she was now not able to have her job and Doge had gotten rid of her and this is what she was doing. I just said, baby girl, you don't recognize that you will soon be a captain of industry because you are so incredibly talented. We're going to see what happens from here.
I mean, because
I know you're going to beat everybody in the private sector because you have been conditioned to compete.
I bet the folks at Ernst & Young be waiting on your resume.
Oh, can't wait. They're sitting back like, bring it on in, girl. Let's go.
The folks at PricewaterhouseCoopers, I bet they're like, hey, man, we could use some really good accountants. We could use somebody that's good at collecting money. Come on, send your resume in. Let's see how it compares.
Except the IRS does it with a letter and the barrel of a gun.
That's exactly right. And those other 2 companies do not. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain, having some history with this, I've never had, PricewaterhouseCoopers knock on my door and be like, you're under arrest. Show us your tax returns. Show us your money.
And if you don't.
And here's a barrel of a gun.
That's right. And the threat of jail time if you don't. You wonder why no one cares that the IRS is losing 15,000 people. They had already hired, 86,000 I wish the number were bigger. My only gripe with
only
Donald Trump.
15? What are we doing here?
I'm mad at Donald Trump because it's only 15.
Let's get this hustle on.
Hell you doing?
I love the idea that you are going to get rid of 15,000.
It's just not enough.
Weren't we going to send another 50,000 to the border? I mean, they're weapons trained.
That's right. They have
Put them
arrest
in there.
authority,
Listen,
right?
Sinaloa is afraid of you. Without a problem. The Sinaloa cartel is like,
they'll see IRS.
Oh, IRS agents, watch out.
Get me away from you.
There's Stanley. He's got a pistol. Oh, no.
That's right. And the fear that,
and please, God, have them look like our current FBI, those fat turds. Like, let's see how they look is when the Sinaloa cartel gets a look at them. Oh, no. We don't want to mess with Clarence. He's 200 pounds overweight and has diabetes. But he's got a gun on his hip.
And
Watch
arrest
out.
authority. Watch
and
out.
arrest authority.
Yeah, the Sinaloa cartel, they'll be horrified. They'll be terrified. They will definitely cease operation. They'll stop doing what they're doing. They'll stop manufacturing fentanyl pills and sending them to the U.S. because of Clarence, a freaking IRS agent.
With diabetes.
With diabetes. Not that diabetes is funny, but in the context of this conversation, it is kind of funny. Morning Extra on Extra 106.3, 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They're doing the 28th annual Winter White Sale where you can save $2,000 in rebates. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com, the best in the business, working with the best in the business, Central and Carrier. When we continue, Vladimir Zelensky continues to sell the Russia marching on Europe narrative. And if you don't know why it's not true, I'll explain it next. After headlines on Extra 106.3. The Kimmer Show is only on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
Here are the Democrats trying to pretend they're all together, chanting about their new song to take over America again.
Which side are you on?
Which side
are you on?
The side of your own. That's the Democrat Party.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Been talking about the IRS and all the crazy things that they do to just terrorize people. And why no one's upset that 15,000 have been fired. But most people are just mad, as I mentioned, that Trump didn't fire more. Now, let's bring it all home. Tax season is here. And yes, you still have to pay your taxes, even though they've let a bunch of those people go. Why not invest in your home? For 25 years, homeowners have trusted Southern Exteriors. They've done over 200,000 projects across the Southeast. They do windows, doors, roofing, siding, gutters, the millwork. They can build you a deck. They can screen in a deck you already have. And they get the job done right the very first time. So take your money and invest it in your greatest asset, the thing that creates more wealth for you and your family than anything else, and that's your home. Maximize that refund with 0% financing for 12 months or 10% off any project. Your curb appeal will be extraordinary. People will drive by your house and go, wow, wish my house looked like that. Tackle those much-needed repairs today. Get a free estimate at 8779 or southernexteriors.co. It's southernexteriors.co.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. When times get tough, where do you keep your stuff? Answer, in a quality safe from the Safe House, of course. Don't go to a big box store and get a fake safe. That would be as effective as Joe Biden's fake border policy. For over 30 years, the Safe House has been providing the best quality safes on the market. Brands like Browning, Fort Knox, and Champion. And with the largest selection of safes on display in Georgia, we're confident we can help you pick the right safe to fit your needs. So drop by our huge showroom or go to atlantasafehouse.com.
The future of business in Georgia is bright, and Georgia Power is a driving force behind the businesses and organizations that are vital to the growth of the state. Organizations like Georgia Tech.
Hi, this is Jay Batt, Director of Athletics here at Georgia Tech. The Georgia Institute of Technology in itself is an incredible place. We've got this tremendous history of success. We've got incredible corporations that invest in college football. And for us, that's part of our winning formula. We've got incredible alignment on our campus. We've got incredible alignment from our president to our head coaches to our donors supporters, we continue to invest in the fan experience here in Bobby Dodd. Everything from what happens in-game, from the music to the in-game promotions, it's really an important part of what we do. And we really have tried to expand that game day experience thanks to our partnerships. I think our fans will see continued investment in that game day experience, so we're really excited to continue investing.
To learn more about how Georgia Power is helping businesses big and small, visit GeorgiaPower.com and tune in all year to discover how they're powering the future of Georgia.
Have you thought about securing your hard-earned assets? Do you have concerns about the future? Protecting assets is crucial, and that's where Nelson Elder Care Law excels. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we provide absolute assurance and peace of mind through our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust, tailored services in estate planning, probate administration, Medicaid crisis solutions, guardianship, and conservatorship. Our goal is to exceed your expectations and empower informed decisions. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com for asset protection and peace of mind.
Don't miss the first MLB All-Star Week event at Truist Park as talent meets tradition in the 3rd annual HBCU Swingman Classic presented by T-Mobile and powered by the MLBPA Youth Development Foundation. Join fans, athletes, and alumni to watch Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Jr. shine a light on 50 of the best young ball players from HBCUs around the country on baseball's biggest stage, July 11th at 7 p.m. Get your tickets today at allstargame.com/swingman.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
With your headlines for Monday, February 17th, I'm Carlos Medina. The DeKalb County Police Department is investigating an overnight shooting where 5 people were shot and 1 died. Police say at 2:05 on Sunday, they responded to multiple locations after learning of a shooting that occurred on the 5300 block of Panola Industrial Boulevard. When they arrived, they learned 5 total victims had been shot at that location. One of the victims, a 20-year-old man, was shot in the neck and died. From the weather front, severe storms have left a destructive path across Atlanta and Georgia, leaving many residents without power. Officials said that they restored more than 170,000 customers with power. The fast results were made by the crews using a smart grid technology to allow remote restoration. And a Georgia death row inmate who fatally shot a man while fleeing from a bank robbery in Gwinnett County cannot be executed by firing squad instead of lethal injection. A federal judge in Atlanta has ruled. Michael Dance has had a legal battle since 2020, claiming that because of medication, a lethal injection would be unlawfully cruel. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Let me make sure I got that right. He wanted a firing squad. That's what he wanted.
His claim is that because of an issue with medication, that he has smaller, tinier veins, and that it would take longer for the medication to go through and to kill him.
And he wanted a firing squad.
And it would possibly cause a complication that would be painful.
I say give him what he wants.
I say let's just see what happens with the medication.
I mean, I don't
Listen,
know.
I'm not about torture, but if there's a complication, sometimes that's just a little bit extra justice.
No, right. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. But do you know how glorious, how much press a firing squad will get? I mean, I think that would probably entice people not to break the law as much as they currently do. Like public hangings. Stuff like that.
Okay, public hangings back in the day. I'm trying to remember if it's like the last state was maybe like
Utah.
I believe it
was only in like the last couple years.
I'm so glad that you and I both, I was like, I think it's Utah. Yeah. Like back in like the 70s, they was like the last actual firing squad in the United States.
I gotta tell you, man, make it a spectacle. People will think twice.
Well, I'm not going to pay-per-view it.
Why not? I mean, it's like the ticker going across the bottom of the stage. I mean, they'd make some money on it. People would watch it.
I know.
Do you remember those? Do you remember those weird Faces of Death?
Yes,
videos?
Faces of Death.
Do you know how many people rented those?
I know. That would be like a crazy Friday night with me and my friends. Yeah. Now we didn't recognize that like most all of it was fake.
See, I had no idea. Because we did the same thing.
Yeah,
we did this.
And there was, by the way, there'd only be one of them at Blockbuster.
That's right. And it was behind like a curtain.
You had to like go find Faces of Death, and when you found Faces of Death, you found like, we've got it.
Yeah,
and we've got it for 48 hours. Just make sure we rewind it.
If you don't rewind it, man, you're going to be in some serious trouble. Vladimir Zelensky continues to sell the whole Russia's going to march on Europe if you do not send me more billions of dollars And it's all bullcrap.
The risk that Russia will occupy Europe is 100%.
If the United States pulls out of NATO, Russia will occupy Europe.
Yes, so not all the Europe. They will begin from those countries, as I said, who are big our friends, but small countries who've been in the USSR and the Soviet Union. They will begin, and we'll see what will be the answer. But Europe will not answer because they don't have. They will begin to defend itself. Each country defend itself. And at this moment, so Russia will get all the successes with all the territories they will want. I don't know, they will want 30% of Europe, 50%, I don't know, nobody knows. But they will have this possibility.
So basically he's saying if we do not send the billions, if we, don't handle this the right way, that Russia is going to not only take over Ukraine, going to march on Europe. And I've told you over and over and over again, and I'll tell you again just one more time, how full of crap he is. We have zero intelligence that shows that Russia will march on Europe after Ukraine. Zero. Because if we did, that would be headlines on every news channel available. Anybody that would pick the story up, they would run and shout from the rooftops. Joe Biden would have preached it every night on television because the American people do not support this war. They do not support sending billions to Ukraine. And if they wanted to change heart and minds, they would say, here's the deal. Here's the intel we have. Russia's going to march on Europe. We have to defend our allies. That's the reason we have to start in Ukraine. It doesn't exist because if they used that, if they had it, they would be screaming it.
I'm going to make this a music thing because I know that lures you in.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like poor, just like you're
Is
like.
Is it Europe, the final countdown?
No, but it causes Tug. Like Tug's the beast. Mm-hmm. When you say it's music, it silence him.
I absolutely. I listen.
He's like a lion. He just suddenly gives you the back a little bit. Like, oh, here's. Right. I'll listen now.
Yeah.
So John and Drosnick, 5 for Fighting, Morning Xtra Zone.
That's right. Friend of the show.
That's right. He's been on. He even said we can go backstage.
Look at
on the next trip. So 3 years ago, he did this one song, and it was in support because he had taken a tour of Ukraine because his family is from that area. And he was initially a supporter of what was going on there. Now, he hasn't ever publicly disavowed it.
But he's quieting down an awful lot about it.
He wrote a song, and it was about Zelensky called If One Man Can Save the World. Mm-hmm. And it featured, Ukrainian orchestra, all these images of Ukraine. I think at this point he feels like, wow, I've been completely snowed on this. Mm-hmm. This man, for about 3 years, until probably the past several months, was sold to us as the protector of democracy, even though he canceled elections in his country.
It makes no sense.
He was provided to us as the great defender of Europe against the mean and evil Russians, even though that was us. He was provided as the guy who rose up from being an actor to suddenly being the guy who's in charge when we're the ones who put him in charge. Ukraine's a puppet government.
No doubt about it.
That's why he's not part of this stuff. That's why you have Donald Trump speaking to Vladimir Putin alone, because Ukraine might as well be a satellite state of ours that's in the interest of two things, laundering money and bioweapons.
And I'll throw one more on top. Remember Joe Biden said regime change. Remember when he said we have to change regimes in Russia? So that was another reason. How do we protect our biolabs? How do we protect our money laundering? We talk about regime change. We talk about how bad the Russians are. And look, I'm not saying the Russians aren't bad. I think Putin is bad. I completely think he's bad. I just don't think Vladimir Zelensky's any better.
Well, if I was to ask you this, create a scenario in which the Russians are not bad, what would their reasons for invading Ukraine be?
To put back the old USSR.
Okay. Mine would be you have stuck biolabs after COVID right on my border.
Yeah.
You have then decided that you're going to march an unfriendly group of people in terms of NATO and put them right on my border. You've also decided to money launder in the interest of strengthening the people that consider me to be the worst person in the world along with Donald Trump. Is that any different than us attacking Iraq in 2003?
No, not at all. Not at all.
But we're the good guys, remember?
Well, we've already established how that's not the case, right? Especially in this instance.
Weapons of mass destruction. At least there are biolabs in Ukraine.
And we have boots on the ground for anybody who pretends that we don't. I think it's 12 special ops military installation that it's U.S. Special Forces and CIA that are on the ground there, pretty much telling the Ukrainians where to shoot, doing all of the targeting because they don't know how to use the equipment. They're not trained on the equipment. The one Ukrainian pilot that flew the jets that Biden gave them freaking ruined it, destroyed the jet. I mean, that's funny. So what do you expect?
What is he, Maverick?
No, he's not. That's the problem. He's not.
We don't think this thing will fly ever again.
That's right. This thing is broke down. This thing is in bad shape. And another one. Here's the other one. It was disappointing to me since you brought it up. Music. Brad Paisley in 2023, about this time, 23, a couple years ago, when he released a song called Same Here, and it featured Vladimir Zelensky. Like, he bought in hook, line, and sinker.
There were people that
Brad freaking Paisley. I mean, West Virginia's own Brad Paisley.
I was so jaded from 2020 that it didn't really matter what you told me. My initial reaction was going to be no, and I'm going to look into this for myself. So when you were busy putting up your Ukraine flag and wearing your mask, I was the entire time going, I'm going to see for myself. And then it would turn into, you're full of S.
Yes, and they were and continue to be. And that's why I say, and I'm telling you, if there was intel, viable intel, because we have agents on the ground, we got CIA on the ground. If there was intel that Russia was going to march on Europe, it would be nonstop, using it to convince you to continue the war. It doesn't exist, or they would use it.
USAID has basically funneled so much money to Ukraine, and now that that's over with, at least from as it stands right now, we'll see. There's always a continuing resolution. There's always a way for Congress to mess this stuff up. But as of now, Zelensky's been so neutered. And again, I was the first person, I believe, that was like, hey, the Russians are bad, so are the Ukrainians.
So are the Ukrainians, yeah.
It's like the first person in this marketplace telling you there are no good guys here, including ourselves that are funding this thing. That at least now that the funding's over with, you're able to tell two bad actors it's time to stop fighting. And one of them's like, I want to be part of this. I'm like, sorry, you got your mother's milk from us. You don't get to decide what happens.
I do expect Donald Trump will, just for the appearance alone, will say or invite Zelensky at some point. Not immediately, but at some point he'll be invited. Because it's all about the way it looks, right? It's all about how do we make this amicable and look amicable so everybody around the world accepts it.
Anybody. You ever get in a fight with somebody and your mom or dad make you shake hands?
Yeah. That's exactly what's happening. Exactly right. That's why Zelensky will eventually be a part of this.
Daddy's going to roll in and be like, you put that hand out. And Zelensky will be like, I will not.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, you will. Put that damn hand out right now.
And do it now.
And you go shake his hand.
That's right.
And he'll tell Putin the same thing.
That's right, he will.
We will take care of harming your gas prices and lower the price of a barrel of oil so that your country is now having problems with this. Put your damn hand out.
And I love the fact that Europe has no role in this.
None at all.
They're acting like Europe, and this is Europe's backyard. They're acting like the Europeans don't exist. And it's because they don't exist. Militarily, they have and provide nothing. The Europeans have provided nothing. They've done nothing to stop the war, or even if you were in support of it, which I'm not, but even if you were, they've not even done anything to support Ukraine. It's all come from us.
A strong America does not require anyone else. Now, it's great if we have people that jump on board with us strategically. It's great
like
if
the Germans with 5,000 used helmets.
If they want to go ahead and back us in a way more than used helmets, then that's awesome to have. But if we have, and it goes back to our economy, it goes back to our dollar, if we're strong everywhere, then we're strong everywhere. And all we have to do, we talk about tariffs, we talk about sanctions, we talk about how propaganda can be better than bullets. If we're able to portray power in this way, well, then we're in pretty good shape.
And it's showing. That is exactly why this is working. That's why the Saudis are like, we'll host.
Well, we're in
because they have interest in that world of gas and natural gas and all that. They have major interest there because they have a lot of it. It's important to them to be able to sell that, to continue to enrich themselves. There's all kinds of benefits for them. But the Europeans, they got that emergency meeting this morning in Paris because of what J.D. Vance said. But ultimately, there's the part about freedom of speech that they're rebuking, which is so funny, Los. Your observation this morning when we were talking about that is like, no, you can't have freedom of speech, and we reject your freedom of speech.
J.D. Vance got up in front of all of us and told us what he thinks, and we reject his speech.
That's right.
Because
So
he
fitting.
told you his honest opinion?
Yeah, he gave you the honest opinion, and he called you baby ugly.
I just love that he's laying the groundwork for 2028. That's
too.
what he's doing.
No, you're right.
And fortunately, and again, Elon Musk grabs so many of the headlines. But when it comes to the person who is doing things where you go, all right, Elon's in your face. J.D. Vance is presidential. They're making sure to keep him on a presidential track throughout the entirety of it.
Absolutely.
Now, I love when he's in your face in Europe.
And the Europeans this morning are scared to death that Trump is going to pull out of NATO, and they're like, what are we going to do? We have diminished our militaries to the point that they're almost non-functioning. And none of them want to invest money in their militaries to protect themselves. They're talking about an EU military force to supersede NATO. And none of them know what to do because none of them have militaries that can even operate to be a part of a European military. It's a mess. What a mess they've created over there. And I'm just glad it ain't us. I'm glad that we're in the process of fixing our mess. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3 Tug and Los until 10. Marco Rubio did not hold back. He addressed free speech and genocide. One does not lead to the other, even though CBS would have you believe otherwise.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
After a visit from the president and a couple of rain delays, the Daytona 500 finished in overtime laps. And for the second year in a row, William Byron came out in first at the Great American Race. NBA All-Star Weekend is all wrapped up. Damian Lillard won the three-point contest for the second year in a row. Mac McClung won the dunk contest for the third year in a row. And Steph Curry won his second All-Star Game MVP Kobe Bryant Award. Atlanta sports will be back later this week with the Hawks playing on Thursday and the Braves kicking off spring training on Saturday. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 3 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffers from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. We provide testosterone replacement therapy, the P-shot, and treatment for ED, PE, and Peyronie's disease. There's not just one therapy that can solve these complex issues. When you visit our clinic, you're going to see me. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. 404-777-1911. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. 404-777-1911. Online at tbtofga.com.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turfco to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turfco was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turfco to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
There are crazies on the road. Who knows where they're all going, but if one of them hits you, don't take care of it on your own. Call my friend David Van Sant. He is the lawyer that used to work for the insurance company. The team at Van Sant Law knows who to call, what to say, and will make sure you get what you deserve and what the insurance company doesn't want to pay for. They have your best interest at heart and will take care of everything. If you don't get paid, they don't get paid. My advice, save Van Sant Law in your phone. Today, 855-GA-INJURY, vansantlaw.com.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
The Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Glenn back until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And the Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with a conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra, then the Glenn Beck program. And Glenn, let's see, he's got a couple guests today that are going to be really, really good. Senator Tom Cotton, we're going to be talking about the threat that China poses to the United States and the fact that it's far, far worse than most people realize. They're also talking about Doge and the fact that Doge dug up another $1.9 billion in taxpayer money, misplaced, as it was called. Misplaced by the Biden administration. That's a little later on the Glenn Beck program. While we continue here on Extra 106.3 with Marco Rubio, and a conversation that was had on CBS that was almost laughable. You're like, am I hearing what I think I'm hearing? Am I hearing Margaret Brennan say what I think she's saying? And yes, I heard it exactly the way she presented it.
I do believe that this is the dumbest thing I've heard to start the year.
It's up there.
We're in February. Politicians on both sides of the aisle say dumb things on a regular basis. This one, though, because of the immensity of it, I think takes it's first place. It's posted a really good score. It's in the clubhouse. It's staring at the rest of the course going, let's see what the rest of y'all do.
Yeah, but in the wrong way. I mean, it's not what you're shooting for. It's like, how low can you go?
Margaret Brennan was referring to J.D. Vance and the speech that we talked about.
At the Munich Security Conference.
How he just flat out told Europe, here's what's going on. And she equated that free speech and the desire for free speech to what caused the rise of the Third Reich in the 1930s in Germany, that somehow free speech is what caused that. All right, so here's Marco Rubio, former senator, now working obviously in the cabinetry of Donald Trump. Take a listen as Margaret Brennan goes down this road. This is a person who is so much smarter than Margaret Brennan. I'm not calling her dumb. What I'm saying is, in this moment, this is one of the silliest things you can say. Take a listen.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
How she can mistake propaganda for free speech, if that's indeed what she's doing. But that's the only thing that I can draw from her craziness.
How does she take something from 90 years ago and get it so wrong?
This has been studied.
Like, what is your worldview?
And over and over. Well, I think her worldview is through the lens of liberalism and might I say communism? I don't know, but definitely liberalism. Because none of it makes sense. It's the bull crap that's been fed to us for so long that people have finally either just said, okay, we'll go with that story because I don't want to rock the boat, or she genuinely believes it and is an idiot. And I don't use that term very often, but that's idiotic.
Because free speech went out the window in Germany, in my opinion, according to history, with the Reichstag fire. Once that occurred, whoever said it, and the Nazis were able to say, well, it was our political opponent. The story has long been that the Nazis did it to blame their political opponents. They could isolate power, and then they could start instituting the free speech, issues as far as keeping those from going on. Obviously, the book burning, allowing them to be the only messenger of truth. That's the way that happened. It all came out of the Reichstag fire. So for her to try to say that free speech somehow enabled a genocide, no, it was a lack of free speech.
That's exactly right. And
how are you that ignorant of history?
Because there's only one message. That was the only message that was allowed to be shared.
Right.
Anybody that spoke up after free speech was banned, they got rid of. They disappeared them.
After the Reichstag fire, you then saw the Nazis consolidate power when it came to any of the newspapers and any of the other things that could possibly be printed about them. They're the ones that made sure. I mean, let's face it. They had a minister of propaganda. Why did they have that? Because there only needed to be one message, and that was the state's message.
Which is what Europe is all about, too, right now. If it is out of line, if you challenge anything in Europe, which is the reason this conversation came up to begin with, because J.D. Vance said you need to worry about the threat from inside as much as you do the threat from Russia or China. You need to be worried because you're arresting people for praying in front of abortion clinics. And he cited an example of that. He cited examples of people saying that they could be arrested, or the government officials saying you could be arrested for thought crime, for thinking the wrong thing inside your own home. That was cited by the vice president.
One of the things that was pointed out, and at the moment it was, okay, that's not true. And then you had actually video that came out of Germany that it was. If you happen to post a meme that the government found was offensive to anyone, they could show up at your house.
And would.
And did. Posting a meme.
And would and did.
Imagine that. The very nature of free speech under attack in these places across Europe.
And she's saying, because of free speech, she's saying if you were to be able to post that meme, that it leads to genocide. That's the connection she was trying to make.
And I think a lot of the mentality that we have here in the States, it's similar that we have with the snow Mexicans in Canada. We look at them and say, you have your own problems. We're going to do our thing. And if you ever figure it out, well, then you're welcome back in the fray. I think a lot of this has also gone on throughout Europe. If y'all figure out your immigration issues, if you figure out that you shouldn't have these people all in your country, if you figure out that maybe perhaps London should not be a hub for Islamic terrorism, in Islamic thought that maybe you should actually have it for, the British, well, then get back to us. It's kind of like telling an old girlfriend you cut things loose with, hey, if you figure out if you drop 15, give me a call. Right. You know, if you happen to drop 15, give me a call. I mean, let's face it.
Surely you wouldn't be so shallow to break up with her over 15.
If you drop 25, give me a call. You got a little out of hand. You got a little bit heavy with the stuff. You got a little, listen, it was cool a while back.
Yeah, right.
If you fix things, let me know. If you choose that you just want to partake in this, well, then we won't.
That's right.
That's what it feels like right now in the United States. I tell you what, Germany, if you figure some stuff out,
that's true.
Give us a call.
100%. That is
Spain,
so right.
France, Italy, you figure some stuff out.
All you clowns that are meeting in Paris right now.
Let me know.
Yeah, let us know if we can get back to you about, still being partners.
Because as the United States, I'm like early 90s Richard Gere.
In demand.
And you're kind of portly.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we weren't looking like Richard with 30 extra pounds.
Yes, we were. Just as recently as 6 months ago.
That's right. We're shedding. We're looking good. We're back in shape.
Shedding jobs in the government, shrinking it down, doing the will.
Our house in order.
And doing the will of the American people.
I'm almost got abs again over America. Abs. Here we go.
I'm doing sit-ups every day. Europe, what are you doing? Clearly nothing.
That's what we're telling them.
But it's the truth.
Come along for the ride or don't.
And that's why they're in panic in that meeting in Paris this morning. They're talking about these very things. The fact that the United States is embracing freedom of speech. And J.D. Vance called them out because we're supposed to all embrace that. And, of course, Europe has gone away from it for so long. But the interesting thing is, Los, that just like voters here in America figured it out, the voters there are figuring it out, and they're canceling elections because of it. Because they know the culture is changing. People are trending back toward common sense, and that has the leftists in Europe scared to death. That's why they're having that emergency meeting in Paris today. Morning Xtra and Xtra 106.3. Download the app so you can listen live and on demand to anything you might miss. When we continue, the left plans to make you suffer in support of shrinking the federal government after a Neil Bortz report and a Fox News update.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
Well, here I go again with one of my favorite columnists, Peggy Noonan, Wall Street Journal. This column appeared, about 10 days ago. Government keeps going too far. And here, she really pointed out one of the problems with the Democrat Party. They consistently go too far and ask too much, whatever the issue or the program is. She called it ideological maximalism. You get everything you want and you give the other side nothing. And that reminded me of one of my pet peeves. I've been griping about this forever. The Obama handicapped spatulas. Now, under Obama, the folks that administer the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, decided that they had to have devices at every publicly accessible swimming pool to get handicapped people into the water. I call them handicapped spatulas because I'm rude and insensitive. The hospitality industry said, great, we have portable ones we can keep in case anybody ever wants to use one. No, but the government had to go too far. The government had to get everything. We want all of them to be permanently installed by the side of the pool. My old home, the St. Regis in Atlanta, since the pool was publicly accessible, they had to have two of these things, one for the swimming pool, one for the hot tub. The handicapped spatula for the hot tub was bigger than the hot tub. And in all of my travels, and I travel extensively, I would always ask, have you ever used that thing? Nobody ever said yes. They just sit there in the way. A portable unit would be accessible in 60 seconds. Ridiculous. The main use for these things is kids using them for helicopter simulators. I kid you not. Tomorrow, I'll give you another one, even more ridiculous than the handicapped spatula, an example of government going too far. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
This is Atlanta's new home for Fox News, Extra 106.3 FM.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
They call it an emergency meeting. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. European leaders gathering today on how to deal with the U.S. Concerned about being left out of American and Russian talks on ending the war in Ukraine. And Fox's Alex Hogan reports they'll discuss
Washington's shifting priorities, efforts to bolster defense spending, and the big question of sending troops to Ukraine after a ceasefire. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, in an op-ed, indicated for the first time that the UK could send British peacekeeping troops to Ukraine, writing in part, any role in helping to guarantee Ukraine's security is helping to guarantee the security of our continent.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in Saudi Arabia, where tomorrow he'll lead the U.S. in talks with Russia on the war in Ukraine, as President Trump pushes Russia's leader Vladimir Putin to negotiate.
I think he wants to end it, and they want to end it fast.
But Ukraine's president says he won't accept any deal to stop the war if he's not directly involved in talks. Russia has freed an American who was arrested earlier this month, accused of drug smuggling. This after last week's prisoner swap freed detained American Mark Fogel. Today marks 500 days since Hamas staged that terror attack in Israel, triggering the war in Gaza.
We are cautiously optimistic that we can still see Omri home soon.
But Moshe Levi tells Fox they are fearful Hamas may not set his brother-in-law Omri free if the ceasefire agreement with Israel falls apart. Now, a ceasefire with Hezbollah in Lebanon is also shaky. An Israeli official said today some troops will remain there despite tomorrow's full withdrawal deadline. Some areas remain underwater or have flood damage, from Virginia to Tennessee to Kentucky, where Governor Andy Beshear warns
this emergency phase we're in is going to last at least a couple more days.
9 people died in the Kentucky floods. Many swept away trying to drive through it. Another person was killed in Georgia when a tree fell on his home. There are wintry weather warnings or advisories. Washington State to Arkansas, and extreme cold warnings. Other areas, wind chill in Aberdeen, South Dakota, 38 below. America's listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before. Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or ConsumerCellular.com today. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Start your mornings the right way with Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Xtra. Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station is Extra 106.3.
Download the app so you can listen live and on demand to the Morning Xtra. Glad that you're here. 44741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. So, the left wants you to feel the pain. Well, I don't know how this is different than any other time. Like they want to make you feel the pain or embarrass you or make you feel a particular way to get their way. I mean, it's the tactic that they always use, Los.
I'm enjoying seeing these people, and most of them, are Twitter on X. I don't really venture into Blue Sky, so I don't really see very often about
nobody else does either.
but they're trying to play the heartstrings game. And how often have I said that they will try to use your morals, your values, your religion against you? They will try and pull at heartstrings, even though at no point were they ever reaching out and trying to make sure that your life was better. Now that theirs is being harmed, well, now it's
now
time
they
to
want
be,
you to pay attention.
Now it's time to be bleeding heart. Here's how it goes. So this was a post over the weekend. This was a fun one from Ariel Kane. She said, "Hey, at Elon Musk, your Doge minions just fired me and my colleagues at CMMI. We were working on improving maternal health outcomes and lower costs so that less pregnant women die in this country. I thought that it would fit nicely into your agenda." First off, the responses are absolutely beautiful. People tell her, learn to code.
Yeah.
Maybe you should build some solar panels. Yeah. Maybe you should. The same stuff that they would say to us is what's being fired back at her.
Remember when those workers on the pipelines were fired? That was the answer. Learn to code. That's what the left said to those employees that were fired indiscriminately. It's the same thing.
And so when you go through all of her information, when you just jump on her profile and go through it, it's one left-wing propaganda message after another. And you start wondering, well, if you're going to tell me that you're trying to find people that are, I don't know, maybe politically as agnostic, they don't really have, they value the job and here's what they're into. Maybe it's not someone who's posting 20 times a day. Like, I might post at a busy day, 3 times, 4 times. And I will tell you that in comparison to a federal worker, I have infinitely more time than they do. And yet, I'm only doing this while they're posting 20 times a day, just left-wing drivel. Right. I'm just going to venture a quick thought. Maybe you weren't that busy. Right. Maybe you weren't working that hard.
Maybe you're working a different job.
I'm kind of looking at it right now. I haven't posted anything from 6 a.m. I posted maybe something last night. I don't know, the day before. And I probably won't post anything over the next hour. At that point, I'm done.
Why? Because you're at work.
Because I'm working, hosting a show. After that point, I can. The federal worker, if you're giving me real time, is supposed to be basically 8 to 5. So as much as she's complaining, what I'm telling you is you can't play on my emotions on this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
We're a country in economic trouble. There's going to have to be cuts, just like there's cuts in any other private industry. I'm sorry you thought this was a forever job. It's not. And
You've been lied to.
And now it's time that you have to get out there in the workplace and go against somebody who has actually been doing it in the private sector and actually having to show real improvement or real results.
This time last year, I remember saying, I would rather take the pain right now than pass it on to my kids and grandkids. And I still feel that way. I still feel like I want to see everything torn down and rebuilt the way it's supposed to be. Rebuilt with a focus on smaller government, defending the borders, and getting out of people's way. I don't care, when it comes politically, I don't care what it is that you do in your private time. I don't want to be a part of that. If I agree with it, that's fine. If I disagree with it, it's fine. I want you to be left alone. I don't want bakers being made to make cakes for people that they don't support or like. I think you should be able to do whatever you want with your business. If you want to bake a cake, you do. And if you don't, that's okay too. Let the free market work. Let the free market exist. Let it work the way it's supposed to. Get out of people's way. So when I say I want the pain now, I want this this confusing time. It is for some people, not confusing for me at all. I completely understand what's going on. I want this tumultuous time, we'll call it that, to happen now, not when my kid is raising his kids. I want to get it done now. I want to take the brunt of this pain.
All right, I
think that's a fair assessment if you care about your kids and grandkids.
I agree. We have talked about how we're going to have pain before everything works out.
Just like exercise, man. You ain't getting in shape without the pain.
But the way that the system corrects itself is by making cuts to spending, and hopefully that then softens the blow. We cannot ever try and create a growth economy while spending $7.5 trillion.
It makes no sense.
It just won't. It just will not matter.
We're putting your way out of debt.
Yeah, we're putting $1 trillion of debt on top of the debt every few months. It does not work. We have to get back to more of the $5 trillion range. Now, let me give you an example from Ariel Kane.
Oh, here we go.
Who's very upset about this stuff. Mm-hmm. So if I was to say, how many women in this country die during childbirth per 100,000?
Oh my gosh, I bet it's less than 1%.
It's 19. It's 19. 19 per 100,000. Right. Now, 1/3 of them, this according to the government statistics, as I'm taking a quick peek at it, 1/3 of them was because of a lack of proper care. So we're basically pointing out, let's say 4 or 5 per 100,000 die from a lack of proper care. Do you know how much CMMI is funded by the government per year? $10 billion.
And they can't prevent those 5 people from dying.
The fact that they're paying attention to 5 per 100,000 for $10 billion.
That means they're not using the $10 billion for what it was allotted for.
No, it's a waste of money.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
It's a complete waste of money.
That means they're not utilizing the money that they're getting at all.
It's a boondoggle. It's where money goes to disappear.
Or be laundered.
Or sent back to a particular party or a kickback.
That's right.
$10 billion. If you told me that we had a situation where 1,000 for every 100,000 women are dying during childbirth, we'd probably get after it and be like, okay, we got to figure this thing out here. This is 1%. It's 19 and less than 1/3 over proper care. CMMI is dedicated to proper care at $10 billion a year.
And are failing.
Or they just shouldn't exist.
No, I agree with you.
And
but that's why they shouldn't exist.
And that's why Ariel Kane does not have a job.
Yeah,
because statistically, this is a silly expenditure of money. And by the way, even if you want to be part of that 19 out of 100,000, and yes, for every family, that's a tragedy. Okay, good. I put that stamp on it. So now whatever I say, you can't really say much about it. If 19 per 100,000, that's still not worth $10 billion because you're not doing enough about it.
You're not doing anything.
Sometimes bad crap just happens.
That's exactly right. And these people, they will get up there on their high horse and tell you the work that they're doing and then show you that they're not doing any work. That's the thing. When you look at the numbers, you can tell that they're not doing anything at all to benefit anyone. They're taking $10 billion and siphoning it off. They're doing something with it, but it's not what they say they are.
$10 billion so that, let's do the numbers together, 0.00019%, an infinitesimal amount of people you can do something for. 0.00019%. $10 billion.
It's unbelievable.
Ariel, got a pretty name. You got to go.
Yeah, you're doing nothing.
Enjoy your time in the private sector if you can find a place in the private sector. If not, hang out on the government dole. Maybe there's some work in a state government, maybe a local government for you. But it ain't going to be the kind of money you were making in D.C., which was probably, because of what we're seeing, 6-figure salaries for about $30,000 of work.
To do nothing. To do absolutely nothing. Those are the numbers that have caused the American people to wake up, rouse the sleeping giant, if you will. But we've been talking about this for how long? My entire life, my entire adult life. Barack Obama talked about it. We played the audio earlier. We don't got to play it again. But the fact that he was like, yes, we have to cut this wasteful spending, just like the wasteful spending that Los pointed out. We have to cut it. and none of them really wanted to do it. It was all lip service. They all told you what they were going to do and did nothing. Now Donald Trump had the courage and the mandate to get it done, and Ariel is, unfortunately for her, part of the cut.
And she uses her X feed to just continue more liberal drivel. Like, make a change here. And by the way, and they're because they're not aware of this, most employers in the private sector, one of the first things they do is they go to your social media. And then they track you. They figure out what you're involved in. You're this far out there. Good luck to you with your next position. Again, if maybe you didn't do it, you'd be a captain of industry in 6 months a year. You got everything going for you, baby girl, except that you are your own worst enemy.
Robbie is at 404-741-1230. What's on your mind, Robbie?
Good morning, man. The funny thing is, my daughter, she started out as an LPN. She worked her way up and went to college on the side, and now she's an administrator over like 6 women's centers. And she has the worst problem lining up surgeries and a lot of time it's young women for like cancer and stuff, and then they won't show up or call the day that, they've scheduled for surgery. Well, I'm not coming in, and never hear anything from them.
Wow.
And all the money in the world won't change that. Some people, it's just... It's crazy.
No, that's right. Robbie's exactly right. If you don't show up for the health care that you've been guaranteed, that's a right.
What can you do?
You can, and how many of those people that you just named off were in that same category? How many?
Never know.
But we have a person that just called that says that's what his daughter does for a living. And I love what he said because it makes the most sense. There's not enough money in the world to fix that problem. It doesn't matter if it's paid for or not. They're still not showing up. They're still not doing what they're supposed to do to take care of themselves. And that ain't going to change. 10 million, 20 million, whatever the number is. Like Robbie said, it ain't going to change. Did you watch any of the parade that was happening?
I didn't. I was grossed out by that.
Yeah. I didn't watch it either.
I didn't want to watch Satan's beehole.
Yes, right.
Celebrate.
In Philadelphia. Let me tell you about the mayor of Philadelphia.
She seems smart.
She's really, really ahead of the game. She had an interesting thing to say. She said, nothing is possible if you work together.
Reminded us all through their excellence that nothing is possible when we work together as a team.
All right, she misspoke.
But did she?
But she's so wise that I recognize that she misspoke. Every now and then you might say something you don't mean because it was a small issue. It's not like she had a problem with like mathematics or spelling.
Exactly. That's my point. I would give her a pass if she hadn't misspelled her favorite team's name.
ELGSES, Eagles!
Hang on.
Let's go, birds!
Hang on.
That's not the way you spell Eagles.
I'm not the smartest guy in the room ever. ELGLES is not how you spell Eagles. So had she not screwed that up the first time, maybe I give her a pass on nothing is possible when you work together. Maybe.
Let me just tell you a small little thing about Cheryl Parker. She started off her career when she was like in the working world as an English teacher.
Oh my God. Well, no wonder kids in 8th grade can't read. If it's people like that that's teaching them.
She was an English teacher in the mid-90s.
Back by teachers' unions.
And she has a hard time with, Eagles, which anyone who's followed the Eagles since the 1970s knows that cheer.
Yeah.
Like, I know that cheer, and I can't stand the Eagles.
And I'm not a fan either. I didn't care who won the Super Bowl, but I did I was like, if somebody's going to win, I want to see all the Georgia Bulldogs that are on that Eagles team. Good for them for drafting correctly. Too bad the Falcons can't do that. And they went on to not only win a national championship, they won a Super Bowl too. Yay. I'm not celebrating it that much. Am I happy for them? Sure. But do I care that much? No. And when I see the mayor of the city of Philadelphia completely put her foot in her mouth over and over and over again, it makes me question what is going on in the city of Philadelphia.
I'm not going to say that she's responsible for, all the fentanyl drones that I saw when I was there.
Fentanyl drones?
Yeah, you know when they just sit there off in their own world, just kind of like,
Oh, I thought, okay,
they're
got
like
it. Yes.
they're like asleep on the street, or they're just standing there.
You're talking about actual people. Got it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what's left of them.
Yes, right. The shell.
Yes. But clean up your city, Mayor.
Yeah, she's not going to do that.
I mean, we were in town, and my daughter made it a point. At the time, she was 13 years old. She goes, I don't want to ever go to college in a big city.
And
because of her experience in Philadelphia.
Dude, she's not wrong. I mean, why would you want to subject yourself to that? That's why people are leaving blue states and blue cities in droves, and unfortunately are coming to the Southeast and bringing their crazy with them, usually their voting records, which is the thing. Don't get me started on that as a Southerner.
But if you're an English teacher, formally, and you have problems with spelling.
But Eagles, it's not like she's spelling supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
I could understand if, like, you weren't sure if your team mascot was like the octopus.
Yeah, right. Maybe,
and whether
maybe.
I should be cheering for the octopi or the singular octopus. And then how do I then say it? Okay, I get it. That's a little bit more complicated.
Right, than Eagles.
That's a little bit more difficult than the plurality of eagle.
Yeah. For this woman.
It's weird.
Woman. Can you imagine that in Atlanta they probably have somebody in there that is living the same way, that's making the same decisions? You wonder why these cities are in such decay. Is it because she can't spell? No, it's because she can't make good choices. She can't make good decisions for the people that live there. She doesn't have the courage to make the good decisions.
Well, inspire confidence in people. Start by being able to spell.
Right.
It goes in a long line of when you have politicians get involved with athletes. Like, I still remember late 90s. I'm trying to remember the politician at the time when he congratulated for the summer of homers, Mark McGuire and Sammy Souser. It's like this happens all the time. Every time that these politicians try to be like, look at me, I'm just normal. A regular person. I too like Sammy Souser.
Yeah. And then you realize, man,
you mean Sosa?
They're not dialed into anything. Could their handler, their communications person, could they not help them? Hey, here's how you say the names. It might throw you off. Although it is just SOSA. It's tough to confuse. Kind of like Eagles. Tough to confuse. Yet they do it.
Well, the problem is that they're surrounded by other people that don't know either.
Yeah. That's true. 9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solutions.
Oh, that was Ted Kennedy.
1999. Was it really?
Yeah.
The late Ted Kennedy.
Yep. Sammy Souser.
Southern Exterior since 1999, handling outdoor beautification projects at people's homes. And they've done it in 6 states, 200,000 projects. Project manager at each one of those projects. So you can ask questions and make sure that your project flows the way it needs to, just the way you want it to. Right now, you can get 10% off any job, or you can save yourself with interest doing 0% financing for 12 months. Reach out to them today. SouthernExteriors.co. It's .co. Don't mess that part up. SouthernExteriors.co. When we come back, if Ukraine was relevant, maybe they'd be invited to Riyadh. The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Tug, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
Hamas needs to be destroyed, wiped off the map. And Donald Trump may just be the president that would support that. Israel has every right to seek the utter destruction of Hamas.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Its technology is not just intelligent, it's thoughtful. Its cabin is not just spacious, but sensuous and stylish. It's indulgent yet versatile. And its electrified performance can energize you with every drive. Get an exceptional offer on the 2025 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300 SUV for just $559 per month for 39 months with $48.73 due at signing, exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details and see how to qualify. We'd love to welcome you to the RBM of Atlanta family. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta Sandy Springs through February 28th, 2025. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia Lemon Law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
If you're looking for a great new gig, our friends at Atlanta Peach Movers are now hiring. No experience? No problem. Training will be provided through Peach University. And if you have verifiable experience, you can score up to a $500 sign-on bonus. Contact Orlando for more information at 404-640-1300. That's 404-640-1300. And get your new career moving with Atlanta Peach Movers.
Central Heating and Air Conditioning would like to thank you for trusting them with your heating and air conditioning and home performance needs by throwing the 28th Annual Winter White Sale going on right now through the end of February. And you can save up to $2,000 because with carrier rebates, the best in the business, working with the best in the business at Central, you're guaranteed to get the best deals possible. And why is Central Heating and Air Conditioning the best? Well, they're one of the few locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. With Central, you're not just a number, you're a member of the family. It's been that way since 1947. And it's still that way today. Central Heating and Air Conditioning can fix what ails your house health and possibly your family's health with home ventilation and air quality products. Central has packages designed around health using variable speeds, fresh air ventilation, air cleaners, air purifiers, dehumidifiers, and more. Central Heating and Air's 28th Annual Winter White Sale goes through the end of February. So check them out online at centralheat.com or call them at 770-GET-HEAT and turn to your Atlanta carrier expert.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
We are seeing more and more crime reported every day. Home invasions, road rage incidents. The list goes on and on and on. But the fact is, not all of these things require legal force. In fact, 99% of everything you're going to run into does not require lethal force. So you need a less lethal plan. You don't want to end up behind bars. I want to introduce you to Byrna, the leader in less lethal self-defense. The Byrna Less Lethal Self-Defense platform includes formidable stopping power without the complexities and potential legal consequences of homicide. Byrna launchers are legal in all 50 states, no background checks, no permits, no waiting periods. You can have one shipped straight to your door, providing peace of mind where and when you need it most. I personally own several Byrna launchers. I've equipped my family with them. Everybody's got one in their car. I want you to visit Byrna.com/Glenn and get 10% discount off your purchase. BYRNA.com/Glenn. Byrna, where safety meets responsibility and preparation meets peace of mind.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
With your headlines for Monday, February 17th, I'm Carlos Medina. The DeKalb County Police Department is investigating an overnight shooting where 5 people were shot and 1 died. Police say at 2:05 on Sunday. They responded to multiple locations after learning of a shooting that occurred on the 5300 block of Panola Industrial Boulevard. When they arrived, they learned 5 total victims had been shot at that location. One of the victims, a 20-year-old man, was shot in the neck and died. From the weather front, severe storms have left a destructive path across Atlanta and Georgia, leaving many residents without power. Officials said that they restored more than 170,000 customers with power. The fast results were made by the crews using a smart grid technology to allow remote restoration. And a Georgia death row inmate who fatally shot a man while fleeing from a bank robbery in Gwinnett County cannot be executed by firing squad instead of lethal injection. A federal judge in Atlanta has ruled. Michael Dance has had a legal battle since 2020, claiming that because of medication, a lethal injection would be unlawfully cruel. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. Windows, doors, gutters, siding, roof, millwork. They do it all and have done over 200,000 jobs with a foreman on site. So if you want to save yourself some money and get great work, I recommend the folks at Southern Exteriors. SouthernExteriors.co. Don't mess that up. SouthernExteriors.co. Or you can call them at 8779-SOUTHERN. Get 10% off a job or 0% financing for 12 months. Ukraine. They are not involved in the talks that are happening in Saudi Arabia right now between the envoy that President Trump has put together and the Russians. Interesting that Vladimir Zelensky is just not. I mean, he's not even present now. He's grandstanding from back in Ukraine, saying, "Well, I'm not agreeing to anything that's put together by just the Russians and the Americans." My hunch tells me, yes, he will.
I got a question for you.
Yep.
It's a breakfast question.
Oh, I love breakfast. My favorite.
And let's face it, because Tug Coward does it big time.
Yes, always.
Let's say you gave me $100. You said, "Hey, go down to Einstein's Bagels and get me a yummy bagel."
Mm-hmm.
Call it get you a meal. It's $12. I come back over here and I give you $5.
I'd probably be like, "Hey, dude, where's the rest of the cash?"
Would you consider me an illegitimate friend?
I would. I would definitely question your ability to count.
And when you said, "Where's my money?" and I said, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about."
Seriously, man, I spent it. What are you talking about? I got you breakfast.
Well, no, I just can't account for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's because that's what is actually happening.
Would you not consider me illegitimate?
Yes, I would.
Them's the Ukrainians.
I'd be upset with you.
We are now so this is September of 2024, $183 billion, which Zelensky, the president of Ukraine,
the actor,
quotes, the actor and the president, says that they can't account for $100 billion. It's been stolen.
Yeah, he says
they don't know what's happened to it.
We had no idea where it came from.
How illegitimate. Could you imagine if you were sending money to somebody and they flat out told you it was a $12 bagel? I gave you $100. Where's like $85?
Yeah.
Where's the remnants of my
A
change?
tip or whatever.
Right. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You would sit back and say, "This is a clown. This is a fool. This is craziness." $183 billion, and they don't know what happened to $100 billion because it went to greasing the skids of as dirty as Ukraine is. Ukraine is where you send money to disappear, and that's what happened. So looking back at the whole scenario and then forward to what's coming, no wonder Donald Trump is like, "Y'all sit on the back burner. Y'all don't need to be part of this. You burned through our money. You can't even tell us where it went. We gave them enough money to win a war."
And so much so.
And they're stuck.
That the Europeans, actually in Britain, because they're talking about this new EU army, if let's say Trump takes us out of NATO, which I'm in favor of, and they're like, "Well, you realize that all our armies are decimated across Europe, and the best army is the one in Ukraine. They don't know how to use the equipment, but the most equipped and most prepared army is the Ukrainian army, and they have no idea what's going on." So I mean, think about the craziness of that scenario, where we have somebody like Vladimir Zelensky who can't account for money. He can't get his army to function correctly. He needs the Americans to do all the targeting. And I know they told you there's not any boots on the ground, and we've told you otherwise. The Americans are handling everything. And this guy is saying, "No, you will involve me in this conversation." And Donald Trump saying, "No, I won't. And by the way, I will have all of those minerals and rare earths that we need. We will get that." Vladimir Zelensky's throwing up the stop sign saying, "No, you won't." Trump hits him back with "I promise you, we will."
So I gave you the Einstein bagel situation. Imagine back when your son was like 4 years old and you were going for the next job. Could you imagine him sitting down in the dining room and be like, "Dad, you better include me in this."
That's right. "No, son, now's not the time.
I put the roof over your head. I put clothes on your back. I put food in your tummy. Thereby is the end of your input with what job I take next."
That's right.
That is how we're playing it here when it's $183 billion and it's $69 billion of that 183 that was direct military assistance. Do you know we paid to keep their police force working and their pensions?
That's exactly right. The entirety of their government. We paid for everything.
For everything to continue working.
We're not helping our own people at home, yet we're paying for the pensions and the military. We're paying for everything. We're paying for people's power bill, their water bill. We are paying for everything because the entire infrastructure of Ukraine is decimated.
So consider that if there's like a, class president of the kindergarten, that's Zelensky. All right, I've already paid for all the stuff I'm having to pay for. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a discussion amongst adults, and you're a child. You don't have a seat at the table. And for every leftist that wants to say, "Well, the U.S. negotiating on behalf of Ukraine is evil and wrong. Do you let your children decide major factors when you're paying for everything for them and they're 8 years old?
No, of course not. Now, I do.
You don't even let them eat unlimited Halloween candy.
That's right, because their tummy will hurt.
And yet, I'd look at Zelensky and I'm like, listen, your tummy's going to hurt if you get involved in this. I need you to sit this thing out.
That's right. I do expect, though, in the next week or so, when they hammer out a deal, at some point, they'll bring Zelensky in as the olive branch. Not that he'll have any input. He's just going to step in to say, yep, we agree to this, and we're involved. Because right now, he's pitching a fit because his own people are defecting out of his army at a record rate. They're considering lowering the age to 18, and everybody that joins would get like a $48,000 bonus just to join the military because they have such defections and people leaving. So this would be a one-year deal, and the usual yearly salary in Ukraine is about $7,000. So you can see why people will be intrigued to do this. But he's having to do that just to backfill the military because they've A, been killed, or B, are defecting because they don't want to die.
We have essentially paid for a generation of young men in Ukraine to put them in the ground. That's what we did with our money. That was our $183 billion that they can't account for $100 billion, and 69 went to military assistance. We paid for young men in Ukraine to be put in the ground. And you know what? They took some Russians with them, but the old adage, you will run out of bullets before they run out of Russians.
And then
ain't running out.
No, and on top of that, over the weekend, you heard Vladimir Zelensky say, without the United States, Ukraine cannot survive. He didn't say without Europe. This is Reuters reporting this over the weekend. If the United States doesn't keep the money flowing, we won't survive. That's why Zelensky's not in Riyadh, and that's why the Europeans are not in Riyadh, because he didn't mention any of them. He didn't mention the Europeans because they provided nothing, even though they're mad because it's in their backyard. Well, if it mattered so much, why are you just now figuring it out? Why are you just now interested? Why are you just now wanting to be a part of this process? You don't want to be a part of the process when it was sending military members over or sending billions of dollars. Nope, you sat back. Well, now continue to sit back. Stay out of the way.
Remember when I talked about that old girlfriend of yours that put on 15 pounds? You said, you drop it, give me a call. It's the same concept.
Right.
Like, we're going to the dance.
Right.
If you want an invite, you got to do some other things. The Europeans are so consumed with things that do not matter, that's about destroying their own economies and hurting their own systems of government, that until you clean that up, you don't have an invite to the dance. You just don't. And by the way, if this was another administration, I wouldn't be all that excited about it. I like this no-nonsense one.
Me too.
I'm like, let's get some more stuff done. We got the right person going to the dance. Slimmed down version of America. Smarter, sharper, much less, hopefully, as dirty as the previous one was.
Seems like it. Does seem that way. And the fact that everybody is responding because everybody knows he's no nonsense.
Everybody knows he's in charge.
Don't cross me because I will make things painful for you.
The World Economic Forum, they brought it up last summer when they got together, and they were gearing up for a Trump administration, and they had the same messaging. We're going to have to change because he's going to be in charge, and we've got to make adjustments to it. And the whole world is having to make adjustments to it. Joe Biden was asleep at the wheel, if he was even at the wheel. It was truly weekend at Bernie's. He was not a functional president. You made phone calls to the White House, and more than likely you got Jill or Beau Biden.
That's right.
If not one of his senior staff members. You didn't get anybody outside of that.
How embarrassing. What a horrible situation. And we let ourselves do that. We let ourselves fall into that trap. And if we continued with Kamala Harris, we would have deserved it. We thought better. The American people thought better, and we voted differently. Now things are trending in a better direction. And you see the polling. Even the leftist outlets that would never give you an honest poll, they're going to stack it a particular way to make it look a certain way. Their polling even shows that he's overwhelmingly popular, and the decisions he's making are overwhelmingly supported by the American people. That's so encouraging to me that even the leftists can't hide it.
I'm so proud of you. Have you seen the text message that you have on your phone?
I don't know.
We have it from a friend. Who is that friend? Who has sent us a message?
Oh, Mr. Gary Miller.
That's right. And
Rebel InfoSec.
That's right, from Rebel InfoSec. And what is he pointing out? Watching the Joe Rogan Experience with Mike Benz.
That's
he
right.
shows the FOIA docs that USAID was funding Burisma through Hunter Biden. Ukraine is where the world launders money and weapons.
Right.
The fun part about that, Gary,
correct.
When it dropped, Tug and I both made it a point. We're like, it's 3.5 hours. Let's get it all done. And so much of the reason why is that we wanted to have a deeper understanding of all of this dirtiness. When we tell you how dirty it is, like we could get in the weeds. We can tell you all about some of the information that goes along with it because Mike Benz has revealed a whole lot of this in documents.
3 hours and 21 minutes worth.
3 hours and 21 minutes of this is filthy, but we have used USAID to pay for everything in Ukraine so that we're in charge. Just like we use USAID around the world to pay for things so we're in charge.
Thank you so much, Gary, for listening.
Thank you, Gary.
Rebel InfoSec is his company. If you need good information security for your company, it's a good company to
reach out.
with.
They are top notch. They're really good.
Let me tell you, they've helped Los out recently, as a matter of fact.
That's right. A weird stalker. I was like,
had to dig deep.
Just ask some questions, and Gary's like, look up this stuff.
Yeah, right.
Not a problem. Thank you.
And pointed you in the right direction.
Just say, here's what you look up. Like, thank you.
It's the truth. If the intel was there that Russia was going to march on Europe, it would be shouted from the rooftops. I brought this up earlier. It kind of goes along with this. Because that's what they always say. That's what Vladimir Zelensky said.
You don't understand. They're going to march across Europe.
I don't know what part of Europe they're going to take, but they're taking some of it.
Yes, that's why you can't get out of northern Ukraine.
That's right. And neither can they.
An old army.
That's right. They can't move. You can't move if the intel was there because this war is so unpopular and sending these billions of dollars that are unaccounted for and can't be accounted for. It's so unpopular with the American people that they don't support it. If they had any inclination that there was the slightest bit of intel that would say that Russia was going to move across Europe, they would use it, they would shout it, because then they could possibly convince you to continue this charade, this war of attrition that can't be won. But they're not, because it doesn't exist. When we continue on Extra 106.3, I don't know much about hockey, but it beats every other sport, in exhibition play. I'll explain what I mean next. On the Morning Extras, we close out the Monday episode.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
After a visit from the president and a couple of rain delays, the Daytona 500 finished in overtime laps. And for the second year in a row, William Byron came out in first at the Great American Race. NBA All-Star Weekend is all wrapped up. Damian Lillard won the three-point contest for the second year in a row. Mac McClung won the dunk contest for the third year in a row. And Steph Curry won his second All-Star Game MVP Kobe Bryant Award. Atlanta sports will be back later this week with the Hawks playing on Thursday and the Braves kicking off spring training on Saturday. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
Atlanta Braves single-game tickets for the 2025 season are on sale. And not only can fans look forward to some incredible matchups this season, but the Braves have a ton of unique and exciting giveaways that everyone will want to get their hands on. Bobbleheads feature Chris Sale and Marcelo Zuna, presented by Delta. A throwback bobblehead featuring Chipper Jones from the 2000 All-Star Game, presented by SeatGeek, and many more. Fans can also look forward to collectibles like the 1995 World Series replica ring and red home jersey presented by Coke. And we can't forget about the kiddos. Every Sunday home game, the Braves will give away items to the first 3,000 kids through the gates. Even the adults will want some of these items, which include the Blooper Mascot Security T-shirt, Ozzy Albies Go Fish deck of cards presented by Curacao, a New Island vibe, a sliding mitt, pool float, beaded player necklace, and so much more. Visit Braves.com/promos to see all of these awesome freebies and get your tickets to see your Braves this season. Atlanta Braves baseball. We are Braves country.
Insurance companies know that you don't know a lot about the law, so maybe it would be better just to let your lawyer make the call to the insurance company when there's a problem. David Van Sant should be that lawyer. He used to work for the insurance company. He knows who to call, what to say, and he has your best interest at heart. Plus, if you don't get paid, either does he. Van Sant Law, 855 GA Injury or vansantlaw.com.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlantis Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth if they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
The Morning Extra has you covered until 10 a.m. Then it's Glenn Beck, Clay Travis, and Buck Sexton at noon, and the Kimmer Show taking over at 3, only on Extra 106.3.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Front office Lowe's walks in the door.
That's my T-shirt, my $800 T-shirt.
That's what it used to be selling, by the way. I know why you don't. I have no idea. You can get a replica that probably looks just like it, and you'll have $800.
I have an $800 Rage Against the Machine T-shirt that I've yet to sell.
Like, he's already checked it. Jerry Payne, who is going to be the new Joe Virgin River here in the next few weeks. You probably don't know this about Los, but he was given a promotional, back in the 90s, given a promotional Rage Against the Machine. Was it Evil Empire?
Evil Empire when it was coming out
T-shirt.
On April 5th,
Promo
1995.
Only. Promo only. That's valued. You can get it. You could buy one.
You can find it.
Find it on eBay, and it'll sell for like $800+, and I don't know why he's not sold it yet.
And I got to dig up I have one from Coachella when they played it 2007. And I've got that's in a drawer somewhere.
I got it right now. All right. It's probably worth, I'd guess, $50.
Yeah, it was the Battle of Coachella.
The Battle
instead of the Battle of Los Angeles.
Oh, got it. I got it. Yeah, I have the only old original T-shirt, because I had hundreds. That was my thing when I was in high school. I loved concert T-shirts.
$100.
Oh, wow. Okay. You get
$100 on eBay.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All right.
You better go dig that thing up and sell it.
You're right. Battle of Coachella. And it has the fist up in the air with the outline. Yeah, $100.
Unfortunately, they rage for the machine these days, but it's still a cool T-shirt any way it goes. But the only one I still have is from 1999, and it was a Kurt Cobain on stage, and he was standing in front of the in utero mannequin, so the wings were coming out. It's a pretty iconic scene.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got an original of that. I don't know what it's worth, probably nothing. I actually tried to look it up recently and couldn't even find the T-shirt on eBay. I saw bunches of them like it, but not that particular one. There were, just different images of kind of the same thing. But so I don't know if it's not worth anything or it's not even available. People have no idea that it even was printed. I don't know what it is, but if I can get $800 for it, it's gone. I know that for sure. And I'll buy
that. It's gone.
It's gone. Like,
see you later.
Like Buck Baloo over there, you know that drop they use?
Gone.
Gone. It's one of my favorites that they use over on our sister station, 680 The Fan. My wife told me, she was like, hey, you know that USA-Canada hockey game's on, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't know much about hockey. And she likes to watch it a little bit. She grew up around it up in upstate New York. But I knew that there was, the tension between the U.S. and Canada over, Canada being the 51st state. And in 9 seconds in that exhibition game, I want to make you aware that this is an exhibition game. No different than the NBA All-Star or the Major League Baseball All-Star or the Pro Bowl, all exhibition games. They had 3 fights in 9 seconds.
This is bad blood here. May have boiled over from the regular season, but it's all here. It's boiling over. 100 years of history, folks. 100 years of hockey. 2 nations going at it. 2 willing combatants. This is USA, Canada. Eating punches, trading punches. All for a great cause, folks. Buckle up, strap in. Let's go.
Dude, he hit him off with a let's effing go. Whoa! Because these dudes are just brawling. That's the beauty of hockey. Like that, when they're ready to fight, the referees are like,
back away.
Yeah, y'all go at it until somebody falls down.
One of y'all go to the ice and we'll deal with it.
And let me tell you, they were wailing on each other. Let's effing go. Woo! That didn't happen in the NBA All-Star game. That's not happening at the Pro Bowl or the Major League Baseball All-Star game. All they're going to do is prance around. We're going to pretend to play ball. Dude, hockey, and I know nothing about hockey, but I have nothing but respect for whatever that was. And the fact that Team USA wins 3-1 in Montreal in front of the Canadians who were just booing the national anthem, give me that injected into my veins every day.
What did I say earlier in the show about the meme of Barron Trump whispering to his dad, Donald Trump?
Yeah. Tell it again.
Dad, we've beaten the snow Mexicans. It's time to invade.
That's right. They will be the 51st state.
It's like, but it's fun.
No,
it's their sport.
Hysterical.
And then they boo the national anthem.
Yeah.
You go into their backyard and beat them 3-1. They score and you go 3 unanswered and you have 3 fights in 9 seconds.
But, dude, the fact that it's an exhibition game, it didn't even mean anything.
It's not supposed to be a fight like that. But
it's amazing.
Turned into one.
In the NFL and college football, you can't even sack the quarterback anybody. If you sack them too hard, they throw a penalty. Like, they're taking any sort of contact out of the sport. In hockey, in an exhibition game, they're throwing down the gloves and going at it. I have A+ respect for hockey. I've lost respect for the sports that I know and love and know nothing about hockey and have gained so much respect for that sport and the people that play it.
It was an enjoyable evening.
Those people have their teeth knocked out.
And I was not locked into it. I got back to our hotel room we were at, and I just start reading on everything. I'm like, oh, seriously? And then, of course, you start seeing all the fights on X. You're like, really? Okay.
We made it over about a minute into the first period. So we missed, we had watched a movie, and Laura's like, hey, remember this is on? I was like, oh, yeah, let's flip it over. And we're about a minute in, and as the broadcasters tell you what has happened, I was like, oh, my Lord. So I pull up X. Sure enough, all the fights flooding my timeline.
I swear, if you did not have the crowd disrespecting the national anthem, that doesn't happen.
Mm-mm.
That's turned into what it turned into. It turned into.
It didn't have to be that.
No, it turned into, this is an exhibition. This is obviously this little tournament with these 4 teams that are playing. Yeah. And it turned into, oh, you done messed up.
Right.
And now, in front of the nation, I have to drop gloves.
Seriously, I'm going to kick your ass on the ice.
I have to.
With my fists, and then I'm going to show you how to play the game of hockey that you invented.
Can we finish up by talking about the one controversy that we have?
Yes.
I went down the hall on the left.
That'd be 680 The Fan, right? That's the only one down there.
I saw Bella in the control room. She was like hanging out in there.
Oh.
And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, Bella hangs out with this radio station.
Right, yeah.
What is she doing? And I opened the door. I looked at her and I go, this feels like cheating.
That's right. And now she's ran out the door.
She ran out the door now. Now she's going right back down.
No, we're going to call her out.
Telling you, Joe, see what she's doing, because that was as soon as I saw her, and she kind of gave me the look of like, oh, you caught me.
Yeah, like a spouse. That
like
is
a
cheating.
spouse. It's like, oh, his pants are down. There's no real explanation for this, is there?
That's right.
So that's what she did.
And guess where she went?
I know.
Back to 680.
And we gave her
Right there.
her first shot.
And I go, Bella, what are you doing? And she goes, nothing.
Are
And
they
I go,
put-
why are you going in there?
Are they putting her on down there?
I don't think so.
No, of course not. They won't do that.
But she just goes, hanging out.
They already got 7 people on the show.
That's right.
Ain't gonna put another one on there.
That's exactly right. And we give her first shot, and she cheats on us the first thing.
It's because she is.
It's because she's an EGLES fan.
Yeah, she's celebrating the Eagles Super Bowl win, and so she. As far as she's concerned, she thinks if she goes over there, they're going to talk about the Eagles. They're not.
I'm not going to. Why would they?
It's not going to happen.
No. Why would they? There's nothing to talk about.
You know how we punish her?
No, don't let her do her segment Friday.
No. Double secret probation. She has to go hang out with Kimmer's show.
Oh.
Because everyone knows if you put a young lady anywhere near the Kimmer show,
I'm not comfortable with this.
Things get weird.
I'm not comfortable with this.
No, I'm just
It'll
saying.
be our fault if something crazy happens. They'll blame
I'm not
us.
saying he's going to attack her like a vampire.
Well, but you don't know that.
It's like a caged animal.
Yeah.
Horny.
See what I mean?
Oh, no. Poor Kimmer.
Zimmer.
Sorry.
He's losing his mind with a pretty girl.
Didn't know what he was dealing with there.
Yeah, now you do. Now you do.
What is it? He has the Christmas countdown?
Yeah.
You know this, Jerry has a Christmas countdown. He's counting down the Christmases he has left. It's very morbid. Like I'm a little bit weirded out by when he starts getting into there's 5 left.
Yeah. Dude, that makes me feel bad.
I know.
It makes me
it's
feel bad.
funny though, but it is
hysterical.
Again, it's not like we made it up. He's the one doing
his
it.
Thing.
It's his thing.
But it almost makes me like feel bad when we talk about him, in the things that he does.
But we do it
out
out of adulation.
Right, of course.
Like we
love
enjoy
him.
the show.
We love him.
Love the guys. You can check him out 3 to 6. It's our chance for cross promotion. I'm just pointing out that's dark humor that I endorse. That Marine can make any kind of joke he wants, and in that case, I'm like, hell yes, that's funny.
But it makes me, as a man that appreciates his service and all that, makes me feel bad anytime I point out something crazy that he might do, like smell Bella's hair or something. It makes me feel bad. I probably shouldn't talk about it anymore. But it's so funny. And
why'd you got to do that?
Well, because, it happens.
I have great respect for you, Sir Marine.
That's right. Don't burn my house
Awesome
down.
dude.
That's right. Don't take a rocket launcher over to my house and blow it up. Because I bet he could get one.
Just comes riding in like
it is
Putin.
hanging out the window of his Cobra.
He's got his horseback with no shirt on.
Well, no, he wouldn't be horseback. Well, I guess he could be, yeah.
He just happens to be like commando.
Yeah. I was
giant
thinking
launcher.
It would be probably better if he did ride a horse, because that Mustang sounds like a NASCAR. He's never getting away.
You're not sneaking up on
You're
anybody.
not going to sneak up on anybody.
Instead, you just hear.
That's right. Yeah.
Here comes Kimmer.
That's right. Watch out. He's got a grenade launcher. All right. That'll do it for us. We appreciate you being here. Glenn Beck, then Clay and Buck Kimmer this afternoon. We love you, Kimmer. Don't blow up our house. Y'all come back now here.
The Kimmer Show is only live on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home. By the way, the only music I want to hear when you think about the Air Force is Ride to the Valkyries played on loudspeakers attached to attack helicopters.
Dun, 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 dun. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. By the way, that is a very distinctive odor.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
When you buy a Subaru from Subaru of Gwinnett, you're buying more than a vehicle. You're buying safety for your family, an investment that will hold its value, and something that will last a long time. You're buying trust. For a limited time, celebrate all the 2025 models during the Subaru A Lot to Love event, now through March 31st. Whether you're looking to match your adventurous spirit with the 2025 Subaru Outback or lean on the reliability of the 2025 Subaru Forester, Subaru of Gwinnett has the perfect